Hey, welcome back to Métropole Grid. My name's Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is currently, I just checked like a second ago, it's a day in November, the 23rd. Specifically today, it's this evening, it's American Thanksgiving, which is a holiday that is, I still think, widely celebrated. Thanksgiving in Canada is a different day, and it's not really a big thing where I am, but I reckoned it's going to be a quiet night for East Coast streaming, I imagine. So, welcome. Hopefully you're doing well. We'll do it together. River Lake Sea. That emote is like a bad emote. Why would you do that? How are you doing? Hey Izzy, how's it going? Good games today. Hopefully you're doing well. Doctor Who Day. I don't know what that means, Aurora. Like new Doctor Who comes out today? I'm not a big Doctor Who person. I just never got into it. I started watching Doctor Who in college with the modern reboot Doctor, the guy with the big ears. And I feel like constantly for like all those seasons, everything was filmed like there was just a bucket load of Vaseline all over the damn camera. Everything had this soft blur to it. There were so many warm browns, just like warm brown tone on everything. And anytime I watched it, I would just go to sleep. It would just immediately knock me out. And just nothing's in like, everything's in soft focus. I don't know why they do that. I think I've seen that a lot across like, I don't know. UK television always looks older than it is. It's the anniversary today. New episode come out this weekend. Oh, no way. Cool. It's probably been on for a while. Baza, how's it going? Happy Thursday. Hopefully you're doing well. We got a bit of a stream today. We've been out there. We've been recording some gameplay today. I ran into an issue. I might need to ask for some help. I'll request some help later, but we try to do some like replay reviews. We got some like really good replays sent in. The problem is like the replay review itself, as the opponent like did not consent to be in it. Like it just was, the replay was captured and then it was like, oh, that's a really good replay. And normally that's fine. I thought it would be fine because you can relatively easily, from my understanding, go in and you can edit, like inspect element, and you can just like Control F replace and then replace whatever the corporation's name with like the corporation. It doesn't matter, whatever. But the problem is I can't figure out how to do it elegantly. I found a way to do it on Firefox, but it just doesn't work. And the problem is like if I go through the game and I Control F the opponent's name and I change it, every time that the new name enters the chat log, whenever that person does something, it enters a new instance of that name. So I don't know how to, on a blanket setting, just say like anytime that this name shows up, do this instead. And it's frustrating. I think there's a chance that Chrome plugins can do it. I remember watching this old video from Lost Geek. This was not that old. It's 3 months ago, right? And this video in which Lost Geek does the same thing, where they like sanitize their opponent's name because they didn't have consent to use their opponent's name. It just says opponent everywhere. I'm probably going to reach out to Lost Geek to figure out how he did this, but I wanted to do this specifically in Firefox because the Cyberfeeder plugin I'm so like jazzed with, because it does what this does, where like you can play replays, but it doesn't have the whole replay like kind of overlay, which I don't think you need the replay overlay. It kind of spoils a bit too. So probably easiest to download a JSON, open that in editor, and find and replace it in that. Oh, Izzy, that's such a good idea. Ooh, is the Gravatar linked in there too? Because like that's the issue too, is like I guess if you can identify a person by their like random Gravatar emo, because like I tried to replace that too, and you had to like Control F and replace like all 30 instances of it. But that's a really good idea. Yeah, I have the JSON file. Someone shared me the JSON file, so I'll probably parse through that. That's sick. I was frustrated. I'm not sure what it must be. I think that makes sense. I'll check that out for sure. That's huge. I was like, I spent a whole hour doing it. Then I got to the end of the video and then it's like, cool, I did it. And then I went back to like turn 1 and then like on the first turn, it just says the player's name again. I'm like, damn it, what a waste of time. But we'll get back. It was actually a really good replay. I'm really excited for it. Otherwise, we've been doing some deck dive stuff. I'll show you the deck dive I've been working on. I'm actually really pleased about it. There's like some interactions I haven't seen people play. It sounded like a bit kind of generous, a bit kind of, I don't like the term janky. I just don't like that word at all. But the sort of cards that you're kind of surprised to see that are readers to a lot of people. And it actually works in a way that kind of makes sense. So I'm pretty stoked about it. Could also ask the submitter to get consent. Yeah, NetDead, how's it going? I think ideally that's, you know, the best case. That is by far the best case. And some replays, there is consent, where it's like, yeah, the opponent's like totally cool. But in others, they aren't. So I'm okay sanitizing it. I don't feel like that's weird. If y'all feel any different, obviously let me know. But yeah, best case scenario would be with both players writing on it. Deck was cool. Yeah, it seems cool. It seems cool. We're gonna play some weird cards. Yo, Lazy, how are you doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I made a chili for dinner. And I ate like a lot of beans and a lot of salt. So like I also just like bit into habanero because it takes you however long it's been, like 7 to 8 months to forget like Spicy is a habanero. It's pretty hot. This is kind of cool news. This is something that I've been forgetting to catch up on, and I finally did. But this weekend, starting even as soon as Friday, so like literally tomorrow, and honestly kind of today, if you're in Italy, is the beginning of Italian Nationals, which seems to be a relatively big event. I think they're capped at like 44 players, and it's a 3-day event, which is pretty wild. So there's Crown of Lasers as a team tournament on Friday to technically today in Italy. And then on Saturday and Sunday, they're doing Swiss rounds on Saturday, and then like Top Cut on Sunday and some other stuff. You can find more information about this always on Always Be Running. It's in Bologna, so it's a far car ride from where I am. In fact, it's you get it pretty wet. But this is all gonna be streamed, which is sick. Shout outs to Brazelius, Yakuza, and Reina Murata who are organizing this. And this is not currently linked on the Always Be Running page, but Team Camparini, I've been told, is where it's gonna be streamed. Hopefully they'll update that soon. If you're watching, the link for this will be in the description. If you want to go give them a follow, you'll get a notification when they go live, but they're looking to stream every single day. So that'll be Friday starting. It's going to be like in a couple hours. Consider they'll start in the morning because the day starts early. And then the same for Saturday and for Sunday. We're going to be helping out a bit with streaming. It'll be Saturday morning on our time. We'll be doing a couple rounds. I don't have the best availability this weekend, but we're going to be doing a bit of casting remotely for Italian Nationals, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if it is what language is going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be a fair bit in English, specifically if I'm going to be doing any sort of streaming on that. My Italian does not exist. So that's going to be this weekend. So if you want to watch some organized play, and there's been so much good organized play the last couple weekends. Like obviously Sovereign of Subways was last weekend up here on the channel. There was an AMT that's up on the Null Signal Twitch channel for now. Maybe eventually be on YouTube. And then there's also Singapore Nationals, which is online too. So it's really cool to watch in-person play. I don't know what their stream setup is, but I'm pretty excited. Hey Cody, how's it going? Hi for stream. How you doing, man? How's it been? It's been a while. I don't think we caught up in a moment. Hopefully you're doing okay. Anyways, that's here. Hopefully the Twitch link will be there. Otherwise you'll find it just in the description. On the YouTube video, it's Team Camparini, and they'll be streaming it out. Shout out to oh man, I don't know the name exactly. I forgot the name. I don't want to say the name wrong. Give me 1 second. I hate when I think I know a name and then I say it incorrectly, but I need to thank the people behind the tech on this. I just need to open up 1 second to check. Morning. Lucille, how's it going? Lucille, are you building this sort of like alternate, like, I want to say JNet, but you know what I mean? Like the alternate game interface? Because I've seen screenshots of it, but I don't know what it is exactly. Ardu is running the tech side of Italian Nationals. So excited to see what Ardu's up to. I just met Ardu online. Yeah, that's me. What is it? What can you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but like, I don't know enough what it is, but I've seen some screenshots and it looks pretty cool, but I'm not actually sure what it is. Cool. Decklist of the week. Happy Colonizer Day. Yeah, that's right. Is a real colonial holiday. I'm like very interested to see the backlash of that. I feel like in Canada too, obviously there's like a backlash against Thanksgiving. I feel like the Canadian history is obviously still messed up, but it's actually just as bad, if not, yeah. Yeah, in Quebec, Thanksgiving is not really a thing. Where I grew up in Ontario, definitely a thing. It's like very, you know, Americanized, as much as we don't have football and as much as it's in October. But yeah, there's a lot of folks who, you know, choose not to celebrate Thanksgiving, celebrate something else, and like I'm cool with that. That makes a lot of sense. Netrunner Online, it's going to be an NSG only game client. So once Dawn hits, it'll support standard. Whoa, we're going for 100% comprehensive rules comparability with no cheats like JNet has. Right, you were talking about that before, saying that you want something that's like rules complete. It'll play more like Magic, Arena, Hearthstone, other mainstream digital card games. Cool. Can you undo click? Because then I don't know how to play online. I take it when you say like it's NSG only, that's like NSG card pool, not like NSG affiliated, right? Tomorrow is Native American Heritage Day in the US? What? Like as a response to Thanksgiving? Or like that is just the way it was? Because like as a response to Thanksgiving, it feels like you kind of need to do that. Yikes. That's the sort of thing where like they just need to replace the day with another day. But like I feel like American Thanksgiving is a hard hill to unfortunately to challenge for worse or worse. Yeah, okay, yeah, cool. That's really cool. Yeah. I've seen screenshots of it. It looks nice. It looks like, you know, table top play. The hand is kind of, you know, in an arch and stuff like that. And she only goes SG Ashes, Borealis, Liberation. No system update, but we're launching alpha hopefully in the next few months with just SG support. Super cool. If you look at the deck of the week so long ago, I guess it's been a long week. It's really wild. You're totally right. Like I feel like we saw this runner deck. Obviously, it was posted on the 13th. Like, that is literally 10 days ago. And we all expected this to be the deck list a week. Mind you, it showed up 2 Saturdays ago at UK Nationals. We've had just like weekend after weekend of like really big Netrunner events. It looks like it's not going to be different this weekend. And this list is really cool. With Rongi Dodge that we were casting with on the weekend, and I asked a bit about this deck because we also saw at Sovereign and Subways that D was playing a very similar deck. I'm not sure if it was card for card, but it seemed very, very similar. And we were told that at the last minute, this was kind of like a wild surprise that like Dan brought this and came in 6th at UK Nationals, which was like 90 players. Mind you, Cable Carnage came in 2nd at Worlds. Has had a great couple months of Netrunner competitive play for sure. And like this made me focus on 2 things. Firstly, Rongi Dodge was calling out, and you do see this across a bunch of the decks, is that like this is just an absolute throwback to fundamentals, where like you can play a Netrunner deck right now that's not splashy or flashy in any way, and it just delivers fundamentals. And so now the question is like, what is fundamentals? And the idea with this deck is we're playing Kit. So the first thing that we encounter is Code Gates. Hey D, how's it going? I hear my name. Yeah, you played this, didn't you? Or maybe you played a slight change to this, because I know we played you like 2 weeks ago on stream. And I know you did make some changes. I'm not sure how changes you made for Sovereign and Subways. But we only have 10 influence. That's not a great starting spot. But the first time, again, you encounter a piece of ice, it's a Code Gate until the end of the run. I believe Wilby, I want to say, posted like earlier this year this really cool kit deck with Inversificator, and that was also kind of like a fundamentals deck. It moved ice around, which worked really well with his ability, and then it just ran as much multi-axis as it could, and then it just hammered centrals every like 2 or 3 turns when the multi-axis built up. It was like a turning wheel, prepaid voice pad kind of thing. And this is different. This is even like more fundamentals. We have 3 Ngolo because we want to get a decoder as soon as possible, and honestly, I'm not a fan of Ngolo. I've never been a fan of Ngolo. I feel like once you're actually breaking Code Gates in the meta with this thing, it sucks. Magnet for 3 sucks. There's a lot of like just really ugly breakpoints with this thing. As much as you do deal with the big stuff, I just feel like big Code Gates are not that they're not that many of them. So like obviously you don't have to paint with Kit, but you do break all the big sentries for hopefully not painting. You just break barriers like ass. Like this deck we saw, I think we saw D like have a wraparound on HQ was the absolute nightmare for like the whole game. Or like a Hagen on the remote server being 5 strength. It's like if you have to paint it, if it's the innermost and not the outermost, the Kit ability is used on encounter, not on like approach. So they have to res it. But like Hagen for 2, 4, 5 credits, yikes, I don't like it. But this is what you play because it makes sense, because we all care about Code Gates, and why not have a breaker that can break through 2 ice a turn almost unconditionally what it is. That's the idea. Hey Jai, hey friendos, how's it going, Jai? Hola, good evening a todos. Yo, Lord Bitchy, how you doing? Okay, D is saying, I pretty much played this deck -1 Hannah, +1 Mystic. So Hannah, mind you, seems really good in the meta. Get that free click for that deep dives. The deck is on 3 of them, which is pretty notable, let alone the amount of, oh my God. I played games today. I played like 6 games. I think 4 of them were against Reality Plus. Everyone's just like Reality Plus, and all the decks are like slightly different, which is super, super fascinating. 2/2 Spark, cool card. +2 SMC, so a bit more expensive, but we have 3 overclock and we can get the breaker that we want when we need it. You're not sparking and getting a turbine on turn 1. That seems good. -1 legwork, +1 Baya, +1 pinhole, +1 into the depths. Cool. Into the depths is neat. It's kind of like your dirty laundry of Schaefer. Your like raindrops cut stone. I feel like it's the worst of all the 3, bravado and that, but hey, it is fine. It's fine. Especially because we also have now Mystic Miami. And +1 pinhole. I do like the 2 pinhole. I think pinhole is really good, especially when we struggle with defensive upgrades, because we can only run the remote server probably once a turn. So like if the Mana Garm or the Anoetic connects in that HB like mid-range matchup, we have a problem because our kit ability, we do kind of rely on it until we're set up. And once we're set up, mind you, like this is a Shaper deck that also doesn't play a lot of the fundamental Shaper stuff you expect in most Shaper decks. This one specifically doesn't have self-modifying code. So not only do we not have Simulchip, like we're not at instant speed pulling Clot. We're not playing any of the tech cards like Hush or I don't know what the heck else. So that's kind of interesting. And if we lose our breakers, we actually lose our breakers because they're not coming back. As for undo click, Lucille says, we're on the fence about it. A lot of the problems that you have to undo click are created by Gennet not having great UX. I think, Lucille, a lot of the problems we have with undo click are just like me goofing it. And it's not a UX issue. It's just like people misorder their stuff, myself included. Yo, Sven, how's it going? -1 legwork, +1 Baya, +1 pinhole, +1 into the depth. This is how I played it too at CO. Oh, cool. Is that recommended, or I don't know if that's a recommended change or not, but that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Love your Spanish. Thank you. I've been training on Duolingo. Can you prevent me from cracking SMC to install the program that's actually in my heap? on the new JNet on what Lucille's working on. That's what Undo Click is for. Pay 2 credits, fail to op or whatever. Cool. But I think that's a big thing is like this deck is so fundamentals based. Like we just have economy, we have card draw, we have like one multi-access card, which we kind of pop off when we want to. And this card is very powerful. I'm surprised we also haven't seen, like, I think we've seen Arasana, we haven't seen that cheesy Arasana deep dive decks. I think there are cheesy Arasana deep decks, Peach Shaw, Slap Bundle, as soon as possible, pop off. You can do that. I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's also the best. It's worth noting that deep dive just against HB is on its own difficult enough because you generally have to steal a 5/3, and that deck is always playing at least 2 copies of Iqua Project. So deep dive is not an easy win condition into HB unless you have additional clicks, which means you rely on something like Hannah or on DJ Fenris and Disable or a Peach Shaw. And so this deck definitely has a way to do it, which is a nice spot to be in. But just keep that in mind. Deep dive is not as easy on all board states because of that. But of course, we've also seen Sable deep dive decks. Those are going to be around forever. But it's cool to see a Shaper deck that's as deep dive heavy as it definitely can be. I am not a recommendation ever. Sorry, D. But yeah, I don't know. It's like the Sable decks are kind of like this too. And it's kind of interesting. There's like no tricks. Right? Like I think we tried last stream to play tricks, right? Like we played Prognostic, Q Loop. That's a fun trick. And then we went out of the way to play like, oh, we tried a D-Res package and like DZ, like a bunch of other weird stuff. And at the end of the day, if you just carve it down to, for better or for worse, like just the fundamentals, every card draw is good on curve economy, good on curve card draw, and then just a bit of multi-access. I guess this is a trick, if we want to call it that. Like there's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. And it's just about playing the game good and playing the matchup good and knowing when you should send and when you shouldn't. Which is kind of neat. I think it's satisfying that like this sort of deck is like really, really powerful and it just takes good play to make this thing work for you. Which is cool because none of this seems unfair. It just seems on average to be like a good pile of things. Maybe you're upset about Reg Netrunner. I don't think I'm that far yet. There's a very rare line where you can install a second Hannah on a double deep dive into Baya and get 4 accesses. Yeah, Sven, I think I was... that came up during a stream or something. I don't know if it was during SOS, but yeah, there was a line too where like, yeah, you buy a bands down. So you crack Hannah. This is what Sven is saying, right? So you crack Hannah. You don't need the tag, mind you. You have an extra click. So you're on a 5-click turn. DJ Fenris allows you to get a Gmod out of faction. So say we're Sable. So say now we can have a 6-click turn. Then you pop Hannah. And then on one of the central runs, you also buy a bands. And on the clickless install with that, you install the second Hannah. You can have, if I'm not mistaken, a 7-click turn. So you actually can win off of a single turn. It's pretty cool. You do run, and then you do deep dive, and you can just win. As soon as turn 1 is super unlikely, but I think it's actually genuinely possible. If they don't ice up centrals, what does your opening hand have to be? Well, you need 2 deep dives, you need a Baya bands, and you need 2 Hannahs. No, that's not going to work because you need this on the table already. Ooh, I don't think it's possible because you're gated by economy. As much as like Baya into Hannah means you only pay 3 credits, deep dive is 2 credits. And yeah, it's hard, but like turn 2, technically on some board states, you actually can like do a 4-click deep dive. I guess if you need Fenris, is not the case. Okay. It's super optimistic, but it's possible. Sort of, not really. We're probably going to get undo click if you don't pass paid priority on your post-click paid ability window. So yeah, you can definitely undo there. It's a question of undo after you pass priority. Can I recommend watching the AMT round 1 game of Man in the Moon? That was the greatest example of Shaper bullshit deep dive conjugation I've ever seen. I haven't caught up on AMT at all. That's fascinating. Is it the sort of deck? Let me pull the timestamp. Thank you, Jay. Buying to Hannah during deep dive is my favorite line. Yeah, it's like such a cool, surprising line. I think this is my favorite thing about Hannah. Like Hannah right now is so good. Like a large portion of the deck or the field right now is R+ and or assets at the same time, half the time, right? So having a card like this that just gives you a free click a turn is kind of absurd, as much as you have to work for it. And with some extent, while playing Kit, you can just send into the remote server because you know a single ice is not going to keep you out guaranteed as long as you have an Angola on the table. And that's kind of a nice spot to be. But the big thing that's always so skill testing to me, it's interesting, is seeing when the players pop this bottom thing when they're not deep diving. Like on this turn, I feel like I need to have a 5th click to be able to do something because you can't pop this until like on your 4th click, you can pop it, but after your 4th click, you can't. And I've seen players like greed this and not pop it. And I feel like if they just popped it now, they've got enough value from Hannah. That's the question. Like how much value do you have to get from Hannah to feel good about it? Because on her own, she shows herself out and gives you a click. Like the ceiling seems, or the floor seems pretty low in terms of like how soon she can go, if you know what I mean. If in faction run 3, I don't think I'd run 3 in faction. I don't like running 3 unique cards in faction. I don't think you need this turn 1, but I think 2 makes a lot of sense. I think 3 might be a bit much because I think there's other cards that fit a Hannah size slot that you could put in your deck. Like I think 2 Hannah, 1 Miss Bones is a good spot to be in Anarch. I like something more like that, I think. It's hard to play 3 of a unique card. Unless it's like central to your engine. Right? Like 3, I don't know. What's it called? Professional contacts back in the day, stuff like that. Can't you play 1 to pay 2 credits per tag, but quickly remove 3 tags? I'm not sure how that math works out. You can definitely play 1 to clear a tag for out of click. That's not a great use, but it's not bad. That's definitely not terrible. And in some board states, that's actually quite good. Grug-brained, what is this called? The Grug-brained runner. The thing is, like, I don't know if that card slot is better on other stuff. Like, those are the matchups where you want Hannah to stand a bit longer. It's like, it's obviously tricky. Not L, Riel. Break from hand, clear tag, play another. Yeah, you definitely can do that. I'd argue at that point, though, like, it's comparable to having a much more flexible economy card. Like, if you're finding yourself in situations where you're just dropping Hannah to clear a tag for no click, but 2 credits, right? Like, it's kind of giving the same value of just having a better econ card in hand. That's probably more playable on more board states, which is why I probably don't want to play 3, right? If you draw a second copy, you definitely just take an extra click and reinstall. No. No. What? Wait, that's not intuitive to me. Okay, so say that you have a Hannah on the table, you have a Hannah in hand. We have 4 clicks. We've already paid 2 for, let's say we got the value worth. So we crack her and we don't have a tag. We gain a click, and then we spend 2 to reinstall it. We didn't gain anything. We just lost a card from hand and lost 2 credits. Obviously, we have a tag. That seems a bit better, but am I missing something? Is my math not right there? I deemed a Twitch link for the relevant turn on Twitch DMs. Thank you, Jai. I'll open it between rounds if I forget. Remind me. Is Ngolo the best choice for this deck? I think there's 2 options. I think Ngolo is definitely an option that gives you like a bit more reach. I think we've seen decks with Inversificator, which I think if you're playing this, you're probably more excited to play Spark of Inspiration, and then you need the Turbine. This allows you to move the code gates around, which is a bit more trickier and then doesn't fit with the Grug-brained idea. But I think generally that is the case. There's like so many cool ways to deal with code gates in a really messed up wind shaper, but like nobody plays them. Like Euler comes down on turn and breaks all code gates for free. When this comes down and it's like 4 strength of Turbine, you break all code gates for free. Like you have to do something cool with that. It's not easy to deep dive. And Ngolo is relatively okay at deep diving because it can challenge multiple ice. So I'd probably think it is. The issue is like all other code gates and factions. Like you can play Hyperbaric and that's cool. It doesn't paint, but it's expensive for you to get up. But eventually you're breaking every ice in the format for a credit a piece. Like that's probably something. I think this is a bit slow though. What else do you have for decoders? Like Gordian Blade is a joke. This card just hasn't kept up with the meta in a long time. This used to be the decoder in 2012. It's not as much as like maybe it probably doesn't make sense. I think Ngolo makes a lot of sense. It's just like there's some matchups where it feels bad. You also may be gaining click on the turn when you run with her ability. Yes. But yes. How's it going, Terrence? But think of all the changes in game state, Value Town. And then you run? Yeah, if you can like make the 2 free remote runs that actually matter, then yeah, that's kind of cool. I just don't think that's possible. Definitely has a Biotic to play hedge fund vibe. It's not as good, but I have seen newer players. I think one of the last events I went to, there was a newer player and they did Biotic to click for credit, which like is cool when it happens. You got to see it. And I don't think they were upset about it. All right. There is way too... Oh, it's 94 card up. Hey. I don't know what that is. I was saying like right now it's pretty tricky. There's a lot of different op builds out there and it's kind of hard to hedge mulligan into it. Jai is playing 94 cards. That's tricky. I don't know what that means. Hey, Kira. Opening hand, I don't like it. Having a Turbine in hand is like not very good. We have the only economy plays are really daily cast. We don't want to early legwork as much as like this deck could brick. I don't know what this big old boat is doing. But I'd rather have just like a fundamental econ open like telework or the Doctor. We got most of it. We got a good econ start. I don't know what this is. No idea how to play against it. Not sure if they're trying to kill me. So many clicks with Sable and DJ Fenris. Que loco. It's really cool. Respect the commitment to stuffing Latra. Ob is enjoying some government bloat. More like government boat. Best of luck. Fun. How Andre, he acknowledged me now. I need to support Andre. Thank you, Jai. I don't know if I play Jai. I probably have. Okay, remote server push. I think we can do Sure Gamble. With 94 cards, we can take a look at R&D and see what's going on. 89 cards, yeah. It's even more than that, right? I think it's 94, which like, how many agenda points on 94 cards? I need to do the distro math. Draw consistently. All right, we just want to basically set up with our breaker. We don't have one. We could create a commission here, some number. Does anyone know the number for 94 cards? There's like no listing. You have to do it, but I think that might, is this the biggest Wayland deck? I doubt it. Like at some point, Jai must have been like, that's enough agendas. I think we'll just take the money. The problem is with this hand, like we don't translate money that well because we literally don't have anything. Cool thing is we can actually DJ Fenris into Quetzal charge in a remote server. So if it's a boarding control, they have to pop a boarding control. The chance of them drawing a boarding control though is relatively low. 44 is 18. Yeah, Rohit. I know we have to extrapolate, which that's the hard part. It's like I have to keep a one number by going up by 5 and the other by 2. I mess it up. I stole 8 points in a single 20 run against this list the other day. It was pretty funny. Like, what the heck is a remote server? We're playing Commander out here. I don't know what this is. I'd rather overclock here. There's like things we can die to, I'm pretty sure. Let Jai summon government takeover and add more cards. Remove Jai to draw a hedge in the opening. Envelopment in the opening? Oh, it's ridiculous. What does it cost to break envelopment? No, it's code gate. 7. That leaves us some credits. They res the Yakov. Cool. What does Yakov say? When a player trashes a card, including this one. So I'm assuming if that's a Rashida, that's absolutely buck wild. I'll check it first. It's a Rashida. So unfortunately, they're going to get more money. I could have done it in the other order. That would have been better, but we didn't know what the card was. Okay, click for credit. Oh, we had a pinhole in our hand. What are we doing? How far we've fallen from Titan 329? You say that, but you're at the age now where you have to consider the carpal tunnel surgery. Do you want to trash the envelopment? No, I don't want to trash the envelopment because then they get a border control. And that's how they get the best card in their deck. And then we can't challenge the remote server. So we want to see how long we have to go before we see a card that had been like, oh, I see the quality of your deck is less than you want it to be. Our economy kind of gets there. Ooh, Regolith, that's good. We are going to have to pinhole that. So let's go see R&D. We have to watch out for, all right, well, I was going to say whatever this ice is, if it's a stop gun. It's a Winchester. So far, the ice has been good. Tagsgiving Termite, how's it going? What's happened? You got free ice and you're complaining. These days. I think we're going to pinhole that. Like, the deck should be super inconsistent. Allowing them to get 9 more credits and then, like, a card from their deck is not great. I'm just going to draw once. We'll pinhole. And then we probably won't end with Diesel. Hey, John Cena. We could go back for a single here. I don't know what we're punished by. I think we just need to click for credit, though. We just want to make sure we have enough money to consider this thing. This thing eventually will fall apart. The problem is, like, that subroutine is still can be relevant. And they just need to get another ice in front of it that's anything unresable. It's a wild starting hand for a 94 card deck. Yeah, like, all these cards are good. This seems like a normal deck besides the Yakov. I think we can let them score that out. Unless... So the envelopment has still 2 end the runs on it. That's a bummer. This hand actually is kind of clunky. Like, I think we just Diesel again here. The problem is, like, we don't have that many ways out of this hole. So I think we just do telework creative. Because the idea is, like, over a long enough period of time, our deck should eventually eclipse their deck because we're more consistent. I'm hoping. That's the guy on 3 points. I value the turbine. I think getting that down is okay. Fenris is good. I don't think Hannah's that good here. We have Fenris for Sable. I don't honestly know which card we throw out here. Hannah, like the nanotech, we can't, if we discard it, it's not like we're Shaper, we can't Simultrap it back in. This doesn't deal with the Winchester relatively well. Like, Winchester is just hard to deal with, and this deck does have ice that's just, like, legitimately hard to deal with. I think I'm getting rid of the Hannah. Consistency is a lie. Grinder tells you to keep deck size low. You're worried about those Fujis, right? You gotta play more cards. Happy regular Thanksgiving. Brennan, how's it going? All right, we want to hit R&D. figure out a bit about the deck. We can get DJ Fenris now. The problem with Sable is that, like, I think we have to go Sable because this is an issue. We can also hold Fenris to go to Quetzal so we don't have to deal with envelopment. But let's just run R&D, see what it is. We can respond to it later on the turn. It's a Zato. I'm going to respond to that. I think we're going to go back and just play daily casts. I don't think we have a huge reason to rush down DJ Sable. I don't care about this. We're going to need another breaker. That's a problem. We actually do get through this for 3 credits once a turn. If we get down a turbine. It's not the worst. In fact, actually cheaper than 3 credits. We don't have hardware. It's 2 credits. Assuming that's the dredge work, but oh, there that goes. This is the problems where the deck doesn't have a conduit. We're like putting down a conduit and just smashing into this is like going to be pretty good. We'll draw for something. It's a propeller. We have a fractor. Limited uses. We have no way of recharging this. It's good till it's gone. So we'll run R&D here for a single. It's a Maryland. I think I'm okay with them drawing a Maryland because it doesn't have anywhere good to go unless that's a Rashida. Last click. I think we can put down a propeller and show that we have a propeller. I think the next thing we're working towards is turbine, which is going to come in next turn when we get 5 credits off of these. I think we just install a propeller. It's fine. It's not like we're Shaper. Poor kid. Oh, it's a speed. That's actually really good. So we know they have a turbine and a Maryland, but this allows them, yeah, now to deal with that and actually push themselves forward. I'm worried that we're just going to be left behind. Ooh, that's really good. This is hard for us to go through. This is the sort of ice that like 3 strength ice is actually kind of hard for Ngolo. Like we begin to break this for 4 credits. Obviously, once we get a turbine down, we can sell the telework to it if they trash their own board state. They might trash the Svigator. Maybe they trash the Winchester. I think it's hard to use Anvil this turn. But like, I don't think we go for singles on centrals and we just set up for a deep dive and we just hope there's no border controls on centrals because we can no longer make good single accesses off this deck. Because the deck only has single axes on centrals and 3 deep dives. So we're just going to try and camp the remote server for a while. Never seen a corp deck this big? Yeah, there's old jokes about like 329 Titan decks I've seen on stream before. That's probably the Maryland. It could be the one that lets them like flip their hand. I'm just going to ignore it. Assume it's a Maryland. If it's a face down non-3-2 agenda, like a 3-2 agenda, whatever. Hey, Sadeville, how's it going? Like, yeah, it's Netrunner time. Let's just drop. That's fine. I think we will DJ for Sable. That is a nice way to make single accesses work for us a bit. The problem with Anvil is we have to start trashing our stuff. I think the propeller is the most expendable card here. Let's draw once more. Okay. We don't have to hit the telework. I'd rather play Sure Gamble casts and just try and coast. It's hard to read what can be in the remote server. The field is way too big of options. Like if they've seen this launch for 2 influence in this deck, and I don't think we've seen any influence so far. There's a dredge work, so they rezzed it. Wonder if they're just going to shuffle agendas back. Oh, of course, they're going to speed it. That makes way more sense. So they have a Maryland in hand. A 1-coster is going to hit the table. Just an Ice Wall is annoying because it eats our ability. And we cannot. Like at this point, they have... Like, this is really annoying for Kit. They don't have a 3-coster res, so they can't do any sort of like magic. We probably need to trash the Svigator, but they are milling themselves. I think that's the Maryland. I don't think we have to deal with that. Gonna keep drawing up. If we do install Nuka, draw Nuka, we'll have too many cards in our hand. Buy events for archives. We're gonna wait. We'll get Sable down first. And then maybe we can get a clickless run on archives. I think we'll get the turbine down. We're going a bit low, but we have a lot of credits coming in next turn. Our MU is filled up. We have a console? Yeah, it's a Maryland. Yeah, we have 2 Onacom. Cool. This is a deck I'm thinking of assembling to play in person. It's fun to play. It's our first game in it. It's like, it's weird because it's only as fun as you like fundamentals. It's like not super exciting. It's like there's a lot of cards that just say credit and card draw in some sort of orientation. And I don't particularly like decks that don't make it rewarding to get good single accesses. I like hammering centrals, and I feel here we're probably in a better spot just to set up a deep dive and win. Again, for better or for worse. The problem is like if we have to get through the tithe, like we have to install our nanotech. Which means we need our Onacom. Like we just have a bunch of issues. We would like to buy Advanced Archives. We probably won't. We'll probably Nuka. Isn't ice fun? Like we legitimately, there are some servers here we can't deal with. They're border controls here, but that's the problem. It's like we just camp the remote server. Archives is the mark. Let's buy Advanced. That seems fun. I think we could have played slower and kept the Hannah. I think having an extra click is going to be really important to play around border control. Draw 2. Sable for a click. Install a card cheaper. Nuka for draw is okay. If we hit Nuka, we'll be on 7. Oh, legwork's really nice, actually. Well-timed legwork can be game-winning. It's hard to tell what they're like, when to do the run. It could be now, actually. We could do sure gamble legwork. I think that might be an okay spot. Oh no, if they res the outermost, yeah, we actually kind of need our console here, don't we? Spark is useless now, right? Yeah. Does it deal with 4 Ice Deep? It doesn't really deal with 4 Ice Deep well. And so we're going to try to leave 3 on this and 6 on this. So if the anvil does fire, which they'll probably eat a Tithe just to get like a Spin Doctor Rashida, like we're okay with that. It stops us from breaking this, technically saves us. Would you run Fenris' Sable? If so, who's the target? Yeah, we generally run Sable. I think there's some arguments around Quetzal against certain decks, and then there's some arguments, yeah, to run what's it called? If HQ is easy to run, going Steve Cambridge is totally fine. But Sable makes sense if we want to win off Deep Dive, which we're gonna have to. They're drawing a lot. We can probably poke again. If they force to res, we generally break with Ngolo cheaper. But like now we just wait. The issue is like their propeller eventually, once it runs out, like if the barriers are on the innermost, we have an issue. So I think we just run the Spin Doctor here. I think we should actually trash the Svigator. That's the one thing that's pushing them forward. We should trash this a while ago. So Tithe is annoying. It's because now we can't challenge anything else. They don't have a 3-coster res, so we're not worried about like half run Stavka combo. They'll probably crack that, yeah. We actually should just charge Svi. We can pay 2 for Ngolo. We'll overclock it. It's fine. We can't let them keep doing this. It does actually like grind their deck down. That's like really important. It does like shrink their deck. And here they have a good incentive to get rid of this Tithe on the remote server, I think, to get 0 cost. So Zato and an Unseen. So that's how they're going to build a remote server. And we've used our 1 pinhole threading, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we're overclocked the server 1. Again, that's the beauty of Angola. We can make this thing a code gate. We could have made the Winchester code gate. We actually should have legworked. We still in a good spot to legwork. They've gone through 30 cards already. Yeah, they have. And it's largely because we didn't trash this. It's kind of on us. We won't draw with Nuka. R&D is the mark. That's fine. And we're going to legwork next turn. So it should just get our money up. How high up does our money has to be? I draw. 16 seems like enough. We'll have 18 next turn. We also can install multiple Ngolos. It's worth knowing that you can use each Ngolo's paint ability once. And that's kind of cool. But like they've gone through 30 cards. They have to have agendas in hand. The legwork probably connects. It's just like, how are they building a remote server? Like, I don't think we have to go HQ. We can. Extract. Yeah, there you go. Tithe is going to become a Spin Doctor. And this is how they're going to fix their hand. Ooh, that's good water. Our cold water stopped working for a while. We've been just living off hot water and they're just putting water in a thing in the fridge. It's kind of sad. I was meant to be repaired the other day, but there was a mistake. I think like the cartridge on the faucet like went, you just have to replace that. It's not that hard of a thing to think. The problem is that when you fire op on JNet with like 67 cards in your deck, it shows you all the options. I think on 0 costers, like Spin Doctor Rashida, end of list. Like, I don't know. Are there other good 0 costers in the format? No. Here she is. So here, I think we want to challenge her first, and then we'll consider challenging HQ. We haven't seen a border control yet, and they haven't had a way to tutor it. They did, but they went for the Winchester, excuse me. Or the Anvil, I'm not sure. But here we just legwork. Like, I don't think we care about the Rashida. So we have 18 credits. R&D is the mark. We have an MU issue. We could do Nuka first to find an Onicom. Sick. We might get border controlled here, but like this is a 6-strength Sentry Breaker. Now we fortunately made the Winchester more expensive. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad we got the nanotech down. So this is 3 credits no matter what we use. Fully break Winchester. We actually might not have enough money. We have to break this for less than 3. White space. Cool. 6 or less. That's unfortunate. STS drone deployment is going to be a problem. I guess we can trust Ngolo. We don't have a lot of money here. We could like die to punitive. But we have a breaker suite up. But they have a window to jam. Wall to wall. NGO front. Too big to fail. What? They went through 30 cards, there's 2 agendas? Is that true? Like, they did no filtering. Obviously, okay, that number's a bit inflated because they pulled a lot of cards out of their deck with op. But, like, what? If they gave 2 punits, yeah, they punted us. Like, also, they hit a event guaranteed. We're totally fine. How is there not agendas in there? They saw 2 agendas. They've gone through, like, 30 cards. That's absurd. Have you tried accessing the agendas? I think they're all in the deck. Okay. Archives is the mark. We can dirty laundry for free if we want. Charging the remote server is not as expensive as it looks I don't think. The problem is like we have to deal with border controls and our ability doesn't stack up with border control really well. Let's try. I don't know what the defensive upgrade can be. It could be anything, obviously. Within reason. It's a white space. So we don't have to break one of those. That's not bad. The first one says, sorry, the second one says 6 or less end the run, so we don't have to deal with that. We haven't seen a board control yet. We're not going to jack out. They can't stop Kahafran yet unless they res like a 3-coster in some place, but we can actually deal with stop Kahafran because if they blank the nanotech we do in Golo. We just have to make sure we have enough money for that, which I have done no math. I don't know what the defensive upgrade can be. I wonder if you spend influence on Anoetic. What do we see from the hand? Wall to wall? Too big to fail. That's it. Yeah, I think it's on us for letting the Svigator go for a couple turns. I forgot we can just challenge it. We definitely should have. That's like getting 3 credits a turn is kind of absurd for them. Is this an archer? Are they considering resing an archer here? Throwing their oak down out for an archer? We break the archer for like 4 credits. This is Stavka. Okay, that's fine. Let's see if they trash something. Again, just to get forward tempo, that's fine. So it's going to be a 7-strength Stavka. Okay, so we can either make a code gate, which is kind of expensive, that we have 2, 4, 3, 4. Oh, now they actually made it, because they put the ice wall there, they actually made our nanotech strong enough. I think that might have been a mistake. If they put that ice wall anywhere else, that actually cost us an additional 3 credits. What is the game plan exactly? Just get 1 defensive upgrade and build an annoying enough server. I'm not sure. I don't know if there is like some sort of combo we're missing. Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's sick. That's really, really cool. But yeah, they unfortunately, they helped us. HQ is technically somewhat doable. So we'll see what this is. Again, if we steal an agenda here on game point, we have enough to play with Managarm as long as we keep a credit here. They're on 12 though, they can res anything. A border control innermost would be like probably the most frustrating. We can break it for free though. Oh, 8-strength surveyor. That's what their game plan is. That's why we shouldn't have let them do this thing. Okay, so floating tags is like not the worst here. We know they don't have tag punishment in hand unless they drew it off the Rashida. So nanotech into 8-strength surveyor. This is what nanotech used to eat surveyor alive. So that's 5 credits, drops us to 1. We can't deal whatever the defensive upgrade is a Managarm, but it might not be a Managarm. I think it's actually kind of likely not to be a Managarm. The other option is to paint to 2, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6. This is 5. We could take the trace tag and like float tags for a turn. I think floating tags for a turn is probably fine. It only saves us a credit though. I just don't know how many more resources we have in the deck. We've played 2 daily casts, 2 Nukas, 2 telework. I think that's like most of them. Yeah. Well, pay. We have 1 credit. Might not be enough. We'll take the Kimberlite field. That's scary. It's a Zato. They could have Zato'd us. Why didn't they Zato us? Creative. All right. Well, unfortunately, we're still kind of far away from deep dive. We know Zato on the remote server means we can't really challenge. I'm surprised they didn't just throw the Stavka at us. But now, like, we can't run this. We don't have a pinhole, and we didn't get in with enough credits, so we have to win off centrals, which means we have to hope that on R&D, like, we just do nothing for a while, and then hope we can deep dive before they can score out. But yeah, Zato is really hard to deal with if we don't have pinhole. We were playing it last week, and it felt actually relatively good. Like, this is not a real end the run, but lose 3 is fine subroutine to throw out a runner sometimes. End the run, trash a program, as much as it does hurt the surveyor, which is kind of funny. It does allow nanotech to not be as strong. We can also consider running HQ, and instead of paying 6, pay 4, by allowing the Winchester to eat our Anacom. We'll just have to throw the propeller in the garbage, which is a bit of a steep cost. Too big to fail. Hey, we have bad publicity. We kind of like bad publicity. R&D is the mark. Anvil is going to be really annoying. Like, it is just going to eat our board state because they can afford to feed the forge. All right, we have our deep dives. We're at the point at the bottom of our deck where the deck has no like infinite economy, the way that like some of the companions are. Obviously, like Rishizaki was back in the day, but like we do run out of money eventually. Mind you, that was click to draw 4. So I think we just have to hope that's not a Kimberlite field, as much as they can only trash. If we trash the turbine, we're really sad to a Kimberlite field. So now running HQ's 3 credits. We know there's a wall-to-wall in there. And I think that's all we know. A lot of money cards, but nothing that stays. Yeah, the idea is that you win off deep dive soon enough, right? Like that, so it's not strictly important. But here we just click for 2 credits, right? We don't need the Anacom. Unless it gets Kimberlighted. At that point, like, it's fine. Show me Kimberlite. Shit. This actually might be a huge issue. We're going to lose our turbine. Like, the fact that we don't have a simul chip, we're actually, like, super, super soft. I wonder if Miami would be a good splash versus legwork. Yeah, Sven, that's what D was doing. It's cool. So there's a drafter for influence, and we lost our turbine. So now we're in a bad spot. Because we have to run a lot. Hey, Schmendrix, and thankfully you don't celebrate American Thanksgiving. Yeah. How's it going? So we need to know the bottom 7 cards of our deck to understand whether drawing makes any sense or not. 3 Sure Gambler out. We have 1 telework in there. That's a lot of money on a single card. That's 8 credits. Even more with buy a band, sort of, kind of. We have 1 overclock. Yeah, there's enough money to consider drawing. Do we buy a bands? I don't know if we buy a bands. Never figured out how to wall-to-wall is useful, but generally play asset spam nonsense. It's a good card. Drawing a card, gaining a credit for an asset. That's a lot for something that reses for 1. Like, you are tempo positive on the res. This is rough. Do not like this. I can't believe we didn't steal an agenda from HQ. So we know there's a wall-to-wall in here. We now don't need the Anacom because we only have 4 MU. Running HQ is 4 credits. We don't have any more HQ multi-axis. Man, deep dive is hard. We're gonna have to get lucky. The remote server is like kind of doable. Like for what it's worth, nanotech will be 4 strength. Like we pay 5 to get through this. It's not that bad. I don't know if we buy bands. I think buy bands only makes sense if we hit like a good target. Like I don't think we need to click compression. I don't think we need to pay 2. You can probably just click for 4 a bunch and deep dive. Yeah, I think that's the plan, is like eventually just click for 4 and just challenge the remote server whenever they advance a card. Because like ideally we know they're on NGO front, of course, but they have to score out of 5-3 here. The only card that we really want to top deck is an off-world office. Sorry, wow, telework contract. Just joined. Did someone already make a diaper meme joke? No. So we could lose to like Audacity 5-3. No, we can't. But like we, unfortunately, I think we let this fee go for too long to let this happen. Now, if they have an agenda, we have to wait for them to draw into multiple agendas. We think that might be the wall-to-wall, but they probably want to bait us on a run, and then they'll have a scoring window, which I'm not going to let that happen. We're just going to hit this button for a couple turns until like it looks really bad, and then we'll deep dive. Yeah, it's a wall-to-wall. I don't think the advancement's going to matter. I guess it does on ice wall. How's it going, by the way, Cold Lava? If they keep doing that every turn, like we have to consider when to run because we don't know when it's back. Well, we know when it's back in hand, but we don't know when they would just waste a click to reinstall it. If it baits us on a run, it's a good click. If they just do that every turn, though, like they're playing a 2-click corp, that's not particularly great. Now, I'm assuming as soon as they have an agenda, it goes in the remote server. So like HQ pressure is not super relevant. We haven't seen a single border control. Border control here is pretty rough. We want to run Winchester first, and then we want to run R&D, and then we want to deep dive. We actually probably want to run R&D first. How much money are we going to need? This we have to break. This is 2 credits. Yeah, you see, they just lost the click there. They're hoping to draw into an agenda. So this is going to fire. This is 2 credits. This is 2, 4. We have to break. We actually don't have to break this, so we have 2 deep dive in our hand. We just have to hope there's no border control on R&D. If there is, we just run R&D first, right? Do you think 22 is enough? This is 2, 3. Then we need 4, 5, 6, 7. And ideally with the Anvil, we trash the Anacom so we can run HQ. But the problem is, like, as soon as there's unres dice on 2 servers, then we actually have to like consider running both of them. It's really tricky. I think 22 is probably enough. It seems like a lot. Yeah, now this is tricky. Because if that's a boarding control, it kind of messes it up. Where's our mark? HQ? I guess we go HQ first. I think we trashed the Onicom. Like, we have no reason to keep this around. Afshar? It's annoying. We have bad pub, though. Oh, we have 2 bad publicity. How do we get second bad publicity? Oh, you just played another too big to fail. Oh, that's actually pretty sick. We love the bad publicity when we run multiple servers. No border control in archives? No, we've seen none. So now we know there's no border control there. So this we break. We have to let the first fire, but that's totally fine. I'm pretty sure we can let the Onicom here fire. It saves us 2 credits on the HQ run. And we're never going to need another MU. We literally don't have another program to install. So we can let this go. They also now put a 4th ice there, but they put nanotech at 4. That actually is probably a sizable mistake, unfortunately. Because if this is only 3 strength, we have to boost. Like, this costs an extra 3 credits. So I think they messed up by putting another ice there. Heart rate doesn't matter. It's not real. Yeah, it's hard to play around nanotech. I've definitely done that a lot. And like, this is not a very common card. This, mind you, used to be the best killer in the game. For one influence, everyone was like, how does Shaper have the best killer? That doesn't make any sense. And it didn't. And then Surveyor came out around that time. And then nanotech was like the obvious like solution to Surveyor, as much as Eco's meant to be the best. You need it for Anvil? We can sell anything to Anvil. We can sell Sable. We're pretty sure we're going to win on the deep dive. If we don't, like, that's really cursed. Because we can trash anything to, like, we can trash DJ. It's fine. Obviously we don't break the middle one. And now it depends if there's a border control in there. If there is, we'll find out soon enough on the run, though. We see the wall-to-wall in hand. Things are a bit more interesting, but I don't think we can run the remote server. You can buy events, like a telework or something? Prage? Yeah, we can buy events. We could. We definitely could. I don't think we need to. But we can always buy events archives. So 6 strength. So if there's a surveyor, it'll be 10 strength. That's just a bit annoying. I think this is the first influence we've seen besides Spin Doctor. Let's see if a boarding control here. If they res boarding control, they don't have enough money. Like, if they can't res Zato, that's pretty good for us. So it's 2 credits to break with this. I think we do. We obviously can't let that gain 5 credits every team fire. So 2 border control is a problem. This is fine. If they pop the border control, like, yeah, okay. Okay, so they're on 1 credit, so now we can run server 1, potentially. Probably not. How do we deal with this? So we know the math requires to run back. So if this is 10 strength, if we paint it for 2. We can float the tag. If we paint it for 2. Then we have to do boost. So that's 2, 4, and 5 to float a tag. So sorry, 1, 2 to go to 6 strength, 1, 2 to go to 10 strength, 2 to paint. So that's 6, 7 credits. It puts us on 8. The other options we do nanotech, which is cheaper. I think we're gonna. Oh wait, no, I did the math wrong. It's the same. It's 7 to take 2 tags. I will do it. I think we're gonna take the tags. Like, I don't know if he has tag punishment. Oh, I was confused for a second. Okay, so here he has to pop the boarding control. That means that we hopefully don't die. We need to force him to pop the boarding control. Ooh. I think we let this fire. That's fine. Him hitting the deep dive might think that he doesn't have to border control. If I say damn here, we might sell it a bit more. But now he doesn't know we have a second deep dive in hand. So this is a little fun game that we can have. Show you more of those. Yeah, we'll find out. Come find out. Pop your boarding control. So see what he trashed with Anvil. Like, he can trash anything. He actually can get another ice on this server, which keeps the surveyor at 10. That's like pretty frustrating because op doesn't deal with install costs, so you can just build giant wall. Man, losing the turbine, like, If the deck is just big ice, you definitely want Turbine into Kobe, something like that. Tattoo Bolo, yeah, okay. All right, so it fires. I think we get rid of Sable. It's like kind of obnoxious, but I think we have to. We can't afford to run back. Yeah. Okay. So what about running this server? So like now all we do is click for credits again for a year. We have buy-up bans with bad publicity. That's not too bad if we want to run archives. But we consider running this. He actually has exactly 3 credits, so he can Zata to trash our breaker. Guess we can't do that. Draw 2. Hopefully we install something cheap. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, we have a tag. That might have been a mistake. I can't really afford to trash it. So at least now we have perfect information on what we need to break all of this. It's just not going to be fun. It's the wall to wall again. Oh no. It's just turn 18. So now we have to deal with double defensive upgrades wall to wall. Like he's just bouncing that back and forward. How's everyone doing? Some a virus to get a 2-coster. Let's see what it is. If it's a 2-con into a hostile. It's just a regolith. Oh man, I do not enjoy this. This is the sort of thing like that always confuses me, is like when Netrunner metas are like in a weird spot where the game becomes not about ice. And like I'd argue when it's never about ice, as soon as it becomes like too much about ice, I think Netrunner is a worse spot than when it's asset spam. Like when all we have to do is like do the math, like literally a lot of math that's like kind of difficult. Some people really struggle with this sort of like integer math. Like I have to now figure out how much it costs to calculate to run this, how much it costs to calculate to run this. Like the game is way less interesting because now it's slot machine. It's like we can't really afford to run this for like, you know, like what does this cost? This is potentially 1. Is it always 1? Yeah, it's 1 credit. 1, 2, 3. We have to break at least part of this. This we have to break now. 4, 5. This we can't break. So it's not that bad, but it's not good. They also now trash this, so they realized that the nanotech was an issue. Is there any deck that has a good matchup into this one? Yeah. If we played like Arasana, we'd be in a good spot. Hermes just be in a good spot. But like the fact that we don't play Simulchip, so we can't put back our turbine. Like if we played one of the lists, like we saw Sokka even play at Intercontinentals, if I'm not mistaken. Like I think it was, I don't know if it was a kit list. It might have been a lat list, but it was just like 2 turbines, right? Like you have to build into this sort of deck where like you have to build into meta that's mostly ice, because currently all the problems this deck is presenting is ice. When running is like determining the value of an 18xx root, don't want. Yeah, I know exactly. Like I don't want to do this. That's a bummer. Okay, I'm out. Good game. Yeah, I just don't want to do that. It's a bummer. I don't know. I feel like such a bad sport, but like this is clearly not good for me. Thanks for the game, eh? Like there's no hard feelings. It's just like this is not how I want to spend the evening, unfortunately. I feel like a shithead, but what can you do? Credits gained 118 for the runner and still not enough. I think mostly though, like if we looked at the replay, we 100% had to definitely go get that what's it called, the Svigator down, because not only is that 3 credits a turn for a deck that's probably seriously inconsistent, it is the only way that they were allowed to like build these sort of joke servers. And I think we didn't respect Surveyor at all, because like I don't care about a Tithe on R&D, but when the Tithe goes on top of a Surveyor, yeah, it starts to matter. This is Jai trying to dodge an arm spin. R&D was frigid. Bold the bird. How's it going? Yeah, I think we got kind of unlucky on the legwork, right? We saw the whole hand, and that was when there's 60 cards left in R&D. The deck was like 89 cards, if I think, or maybe 94. And while a fair bit of that came out straight onto the table of ice, there was only like 2 cards in the top 30. Like that's kind of messed up. As much as, again, taking the cards out of the deck kind of messes that up. Yeah, I feel like the density was not low, but that's the problem again with playing huge decks. Is like it's so inconsistent on both sides. You don't know what's going on. Like there's some decks where the games you only draw agendas, some you don't. What's with the deck size? Well, you can play any deck size. As long as you come to an event, it can be shuffled in like a legitimate amount of times. And then of course, whatever your deck size is, you have to make sure you're playing the legitimate agenda points. We've seen metas where like a 59 card deck on a corp side was like worth considering. And of course, like we've seen worlds where like 60 card decks, even people bring like 80 card runner decks, and they're competitively reasonable. I really don't like playing big corpse though, because big runners, you have much more ways to mitigate things, and like you don't agenda flood as a runner. Before I go Cruisamite for this one, I gotta say this one came from the King, was the list I oracled for the game with. Yo, jagged game. Yeah, I didn't want to play against that at all. That's a really rough spot to be in. We definitely should have dealt with the Svigator. I don't think I could have let you have that for so many turns. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely couldn't let you get 3 credits a turn and then like pull cards out of your deck. I just can't believe the legwork missed. Yeah. I think outside of the Kimberlite field too, and that's like the thing where I think like it's so easy to get like really kind of poisonous against you know, decks that size, to be like, the fact that you saw 2 Kimberlites in the top 40, what's the chance of that? Because I think that's the only agenda that messes us up. But like, I'm not upset about it. Like, that's going to be the problem. 49 card deck. Okay, we're back to fundamentals. We got a sheer gamble. We have Ngolo. We have economy. We have a multi-axis. This might be okay. Thanks, you too. Another op? Yeah, but deck size is fine. Hey, normal sized op. Sanjay had the biggest deck tournament. Yeah, I don't know. This should be fine. Yeah, this seems okay. It's like really hard to imagine this deck losing to straight ice. But yeah, I think the fact that we can't recur the thing that saves money is really good. Keep. Even just like having the early envelopment, like that's the sort of ice that Ngolo struggles with. And like, I think it's hard to think of another decoder we'd feel better about in that matchup. But Ngolo didn't feel amazing. It's weird because like Ngolo in theory is like one of the nice ways to deal with classically with Surveyor. But we had like a juiced nanotech. I think like Kimberlite's super underplayed. I think it is too. I think it is. It's just like it's hard because you have to build a totally different deck. Like, you know, the 89 card deck that's trying to grind the game out. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But like against criminals, it's messed up. But then the other axis is like, can you just win the game soon enough? But I think with the op specifically, of course, it's messed up. But I played Kimberlite on the other day. We didn't play against a criminal, but it is really good. We like Kimberlite Audrey. It's like quite good. Let's see what they did. They kept, right? He kept? No, he mauled. Extract. No surprise. Okay. I don't think we have to do much. Let's just keep drawing through our deck. Another axis on HQ. Like, again, the single axes are pretty rough. We have the slow economy option or the big economy option. I don't mind working on the slow economy option. The problem we're missing now is card draw. But we actually do have a way that we can leverage all these credits this soon. That's my going. How is op in the meta? It's really good. It's really good. We've seen like asset ops, fast events, asset ops. I never understood that deck. I haven't seen it play yet. QTM brought it to Worlds. It did well. We see like the sort of tempo forward op with like calibration testing and like 3x virus. That's my favorite op. There's like horizontal kill, blood in the water type op decks, which also I haven't seen enough of. I'm not too sold on them, and I feel like they are easily teched out in the meta. We might play something like that today. Praise the Toronto Path champion. Is that Architect? I saw Quinlan's deck. Kyle. Tempo out of Wraparound. That's really strange. Now, Wraparound's very good into this deck because Ngolo doesn't deal with it at all well. Like, it is messed up. A 7 strength ice is actually legitimately messed up. So, like, that's a pretty technically good play. It's weird that they did this on this turn because it assumes that they want to op on this upcoming turn, which I don't see how they are going to. He won on Saturday? Oh, super cool. But that's like a really, really, at least we can Ngolo through it. If they get 2 ice, we're in a big issue with this deck. Because like all, as much as we have fundamentals, like maybe I don't like fundamentals because I can't force them to play my game. I have to react to them. And that's actually a really big thing. As you saw in the last matchup, like besides trashing the stuff that we should do, we had to allow the corp, we had to react to the corporation. And I don't want to react to the corporation. I want the corporation to react to me, which is like, you know, why you play like, you know, OpenHQ, Imp Engines, Diversion, all this sort of stuff. Oh, Architect won. Yeah, I saw that they posted a list on Always Be Running. I saw that name. But that's the thing where I don't love these sort of decks, is that it's all about like, you know, full control and then like you close the deck when you can. Oh, cool. Yeah. Punitive, right? Yeah. I've seen a lot of like nice uses of punitive Ag Infusion. I like it a fair bit. Where were we? We were here. What's going on? What's the motivation for opening Essential? What do you mean, Bolterberg? Like getting an access there? Like, this is also the problem is when they see Kit, they understand like they can beat you by just putting enough ice out. And again, the fact that we don't have SMC, that's a change we could easily make. Is I think it's actually hard for us to do with this server. We have no HQ pressure unless we draw DJ and we go and try and close the game out. Not icing a central. So icing centrals is overrated. Let me explain between the turns. But the big thing is like, you're not expecting any sort of HQ pressure from HQ. If you have one agenda in 5 and I spend 1 of my 4 turns instead of setting up to deal with the 3 ice remote server in 3 turns, and I have a 20% chance of stealing the agenda, that's not very good. Like that's actually pretty trash. That is a bad run to slam HQ 4 times. So unicing centrals is totally fine. Newer players like ice R&D, ice HQ, and they'd be like, now I can play the game. You don't have to do that. Now there's a difference when you play against like certain matchups, like diversion of funds on criminals that have good reasons to run HQ and make it really problematic. ESA with Chastushka and like finality on central servers. Chastushka is a bigger problem sooner, I'd argue. But like, there's just nothing we can do to them. This also suggests that they don't have an agenda in hand, because if they did, it would probably go behind 3 ice sooner than the second ice would go on R&D. So while you can use that to bluff, yeah, they don't have anything in hand. So yeah, I often try to ice the one central server and one remote server to try and make the game about this, as opposed to be like, try not to lose, which again, slamming centrals doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, wraparound is great. I think wraparound is kind of in a good spot right now. If we do this, we overdraw. I think we need to draw more than we need money. Like, this is the only HQ pressure we have in the deck, legwork. And like sending legwork to C to 3 here, I don't want to do it because we know they have an extract in hand, and I'm pretty sure if they had an agenda, it would go into the remote server. Maybe it doesn't because they don't have enough money, but otherwise I think they could. I don't think we want Hannah. I honestly don't know if we want legwork, which is kind of weird. Actually, it's probably should gamble. The legwork would be better now, but I think as soon as they get an agenda, it goes into remote server with 3 ice. Does that make sense? Right? Like now this is an Atlas that we can't deal with. Time to start playing Doof Shaper. Yeah, I think we played against a Doof Shaper on the other stream, like last week, and the Doof didn't come out. No, we didn't play on it. Sorry, we were watching, and I think Bushi was playing Arasana with 2 diversions in it. If I saw the deck list right when he was like looking through it, which is like pretty buck wild. Yo, Alec, how's it going? Like, how do we challenge this? The big thing is that they can't res multiple pieces of ice, so we actually probably can challenge it. If we drop in Golo and then we just do overclock, they're probably forced to fire a border control. We're gonna have to pay an arm and a leg to get through wraparound, but I think that's the best we have. I think we're gonna take 3 off the telework first, and then we're gonna overclock this. But like, some of the ice gets really expensive really quickly. Like, what's it called? Sandstone is expensive. Envelopment is nasty expensive. But now, like, we might have to paint the wraparound, but the first ice will be a code gate. The second ice will just pay for it. And this is probably a big Atlas. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But that's the install double advance. NGO front doesn't see a lot of play in op decks because it doesn't really interact with the op ability in a meaningful way. Shuffle for -1 at instant speed. You can do it, but people don't because it doesn't make sense. If we really wanted to pinhole this to see, but like I think a double advance card is probably an Atlas, or maybe they're slow rolling, or like Awkward Lapis that does see play. But here we have 17 credits to work with. We could, in theory, got 3 more credits. 17 seems like a lot. We are gonna have to pay 2, 4, 6, 7 to break this. What if SDS? We just throw the Angola to it. If it is, it's fine. We have 3 Angolas. It's not great, but like if they score it, we lose the Angola anyway, so why not steal it, you know? They just force the issue. Magnet. I hate it. Magnet is so good right now, and it's so bad into Angolo. So if it's Magnet into Sandstone, we're in a bad spot. But like, I do not like the fact that we have to break the most common code gate in the format for 3 credits. That being said, this is like very few cards in the game say 1 icebreaker holds. What the fuck? I don't know what this deck is. I don't know what this is. That's an NGO front. Help. It's a Stavka Halfrun. That's fine. We got more of these. They use the combo now. As much as like Halfrun on its own, it's really annoying. Like Halfrun being 3 strength is hard. We're getting the absolute screws put this. I don't think I like this deck for what it's worth, but I'm gonna try not to get it down. I do not like this where we have to react to them. Okay, so we lost it. That's fine. We have more in the deck. We're definitely gonna have to draw to get towards them. So now we know the 1 card in hand is extract. They'll probably extract the Halfrun for some sort of, I don't know what a tempo 1 coster would be, but like NGO front in op, I don't think I've ever seen it. So that's going to get me for sure. We need card draw here. All right, Propeller's okay. That's a way to deal with wraparound, even if we pay 3 to get through it. A creative, sure gamble, legwork, pinhole. I think we're getting rid of the deep dive. We have 2 more in the deck, and we're definitely not doing it now. Kind of feel like this isn't bad to losing our breaker, that combo when charging an agenda. Yeah, I don't feel bad about that. Like, that's fine. This could have been worse. So now if it's unadvanced, like, I'm not sure what it is. They drew 3 cards here. The legwork is like somewhat reasonable. The thing is like we have bigger problems. We need to get our breakers back down. You can trash something worth 1 to get an NGO, which isn't terrible. It's not great because then it's on the table. Like you'd rather get a Spin Doctor on Tempo or Rashida generally. Like it's a pretty bad 0 cost compared to those other two. Because those other two have way more power. Like Rashida, if it starts turn, it's absurd. Spin Doctor on res, 2 credits and something else. Honestly, I feel this is a better outcome than breaking the wraparound and just seeing an NGO. You're right about that. The fact that they trashed their thing is better than us paying 7 for it. I think you're totally right. Seb, how's it going, by the way? Okay, so this is uncontestable. We definitely need to spend a click to draw. Okay. I don't know how many cards we can discard. Like, this is something that comes to playing. I don't know if we can, like, rip 3 here and discard 2 cards. We probably can. We have some pressure to contest the Spin Doctor so they don't Audacity out to get an ass little counter. I think that's kind of niche, but I think that's maybe worth considering here. I think I'm going to try doing it. Because leaving a Spin Doctor on the table means that they can just Audacity or, like, slash and burn. I feel like charging the Spin Doctors with some amount of gusto is, like, slightly better than it looks. I feel like I'm starting to get a bit more burnt by leaving Spin Doctors when they're not in board states that they seem to need to be challenged. But I feel like we should challenge this one. I think Slash and Burn is like really catching on. Way more people are playing it now. Last click, well, creative, I guess. We just need Nuka to hit a spark, or we have 2 more Angolas and 29 cards. Rashida, okay, that's fine. Yeah. The thing with the NGO front, like once it's on the table, you still have to do stuff with it, right? Like you still have to advance it. And like advancing NGO front is actually not a great economy card. Like that's a really easy thing to like kind of mistake. Advancing NGO front means you spend your whole turn for 6 credits. That's as good of a turn as hedge fund credit. That's not amazing. That's not a lot of turns you take in Netrunner. You generally don't do hedge fund credit if you spend your whole turn advancing an NGO front. The reason that NGO front is a good card is when something like this happens that forces us to spend money, engender interaction, have our breaker trashed, stuff like that. Like imagine we paid 7 to go through a wraparound for an NGO front. That's how you make NGO front good. So like if you got an NGO front face up on the table from op and it's res, so we know it's an NGO front, we don't mind it that much as it's no longer 3 clicks for 6 credits, it's 2 clicks for 6 credits, which is a bit better. It's definitely a bit better then. All right. Do you think it's an NGO front? This is such a bummer to me too. Like, oh man. Any deck where the only threat we have is we have icebreakers, we end into a 4 ice server. Like this doesn't happen to criminal because again, you have to put more ice on centrals. So I think we have to give up on this and figure out how to pressure a deep dive. Not going to be with this hand exactly. But I think here we can buy a bands. They drew a fair bit. Will we get down? Not the Nuka. I think we'll buy a bands out of a propeller probably. We'll see what we get. We still know an extract in hand. I think that's all we know. Draw 2. Okay, not there yet. Propeller. Envelopment. Okay, so we know envelopment, we know extract. We have more card draw coming. So I think we can just work a bit on our money here. We can get big money here. If they score out Alice with the counter, we're in a bad spot too, because we can't throw in Claude. So once they're on 5 points, it's really, really rough. I wonder if we get Kimberlighted here in the Treasure Propeller. Like that's also really bad. Maybe that's a reason not to do Propeller. What do you get? Offer Lapis. Okay, cool. Please be Kimberlight. I know. Oh man, that would be bad. I'm gonna use the Diesel from hand. Just money. All we got's money. We don't have a way to, like, we want to play the game. I want to force the corp to do something, but all we have is money. If we legwork, we know envelopment, we know extract. I don't love the legwork here. Again, that is a turn they scored out. So there's a chance they have an agenda in hand. Actually, they probably have an agenda in hand if they're not in archives, right? They went through 20 cards. We saw 1 agenda. I think we should legwork here. Yeah, I think we do. Cause like that turn they had to score out the off rolls. So if they top deck an agenda, it's going nowhere. We can consider checking archives, but I think this is one of the better legworks we're gonna get for a while. Cause from now on, everything's gonna go straight from HQ into server 1. Envelopment, Trojan horse. Yeah, that's scary. Mavirus. Okay. Trashing Mavirus is reasonable. Okay. Not great. So now they can never do, if you haven't seen Trojan Horse, it's like trace for a difference of trash a program. I think this should just be a one-up in almost every Wayland decks, unfortunately, for better for worse. I don't like that this card is popular, but if you just have less money than them, they just destroy your breaker and that costs you the game. It's weird how this card now suddenly is really impactful. At least if you're playing a Shaper, that's Silent Chip. So we have to keep that in mind, and keeping our money up is important. Here, I think we can Nuka and we can throw out a couple cards. Okay, we have what we want. So the question is, what do we get down here? Can we with Angola and Propeller do a deep dive? We have no click gainers in our hand. We threw out 1 Hannah, so we have 2 click gainers and 18. If we put down the Angolo, I think we're safe. I don't think we put that in Angola. I think we put that in the cast. So we discard a couple cards here. So we don't actually need a Nuka. Biobands will be a card draw. I think the daily cast is 5 credits clicklessly as opposed to 8 credits for 4 clicks. I have to get rid of 1 more. Let's hope that we don't lose our last Angola. Hand is full of agenda and Corp is bluffing super hard. They've been drawing really weird. Like, I don't think they have another agenda in hand, and they went through 20 cards. I think they did shuffle once face down with the Spin Doctor. I haven't been doing a good job of tracking. Yeah, 1 unseen. Okay, so second Spin Doctor. So I think that Spin Doctor means they don't have agendas. That's always worth keeping in mind, understanding where the agendas are. And here they don't have them. So now they could have drawn to 2 agendas, and then we have a pressure. Exceptions for Mirror Morph and NGO? Yeah, there's a couple exceptions to that, right? Like Mirror Morph, Atea. Mirror Morph NGO is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. I want to play more Mirror Morph. I know Bob was playing Mirror Morph the other day, and like it looks kind of sick. Because there was a Mirror Morph that recently did well at, was it an AMT or something? It looks fun. I wonder if I want to play like Puke Thule. It also looks really fun. Because you got to play with some weird cards that actually generate really interesting forks. I just think that sort of deck, though, like there's a lot of players who play in that deck that don't know what the deck is capable of because it's playing like a bunch of really strange cards from like deep standard. Extract the half run. Yeah, that makes sense. So we now know 1 fewer card in the hand. We'll get a 1-coster. See if it's like just a Malapur or just an Ice Wall again. Ice Wall just absolutely makes Kid upset. And Ice on HQ is really strong. So we're assuming that could be the envelopment. They don't have a 3-coster res, so we're not worried about Stavka half run. And the problem though is like now they can get the half run back in their deck because we didn't contest the Spin Doctor. So I think we contest the Spin Doctor. I think they have an agenda they would have pushed. I don't think they have an agenda. Let's just money up. This is not a great deck. We don't actually need to get down our what's it called? Our turbine. We don't need it. There's not a lot of ice that's gonna be really annoying. Now it really feels like I'm just digging for deep dive. I totally forgot we don't have a deep dive. I thought we had a deep dive in hand. You're right, we are digging. But we'll like Biobands Archives this turn. I love deep standard as a phrase. Yo, Bing Funkle. There's like deep standard cards. You know what I mean? Like Trojan Horse is a deep standard card. 1 face down in here, we'll draw 2. Okay, so we have a turbine. So unfortunately we don't have MU here. And we have 2 deep dives in 16. I guess we'll get the turbine down. I think we should show that we have an Angolo. But Virus, they threw at the Trojan Horse. That's really good to know. I don't think they're running 2, but they easily could be. Cemetery Baby, hey, hey. Cemetery Baby, hi, it's Steph. Yo, Steph, how's it going? Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. I know Maddie said you like checked in at some point on some weekday and didn't understand what was going on. Welcome to Netrunner. I was trying to get Maddie to buy you like a core set, and she said that she'll teach you with ours and then see if you like it from there. All right. We got to push out somewhere. I think like I'm worried that just putting cast down is not enough. Like we have to spend 1 click a turn drawing. The spark is now useless, so we can just click to draw. Obviously, we shouldn't hit the telework there. We should have done that. That's fine. Why does my virus sound like the punchline for... I'm not saying that. I've been watching a bit and confused. It's very interesting. Oh, it's such a good card game. It's like kind of absurd to talk about how good of a card game this is. So in short, so Cemetery Baby has not played Netrunner. But like one side of the table is playing a corporation and they're putting all their cards face down. So we don't know what they're up to. Whenever we like run these servers, that's what they're meant to be. We like access the top of the deck and we're looking for certain cards. These cards are called agendas and we have to steal them. So it's all about like finding where their cards are by like interacting with their board state while we put all our stuff face up. It's really cool. Yo, Jeff. Yo, happy Thanksgiving. Swinging by to say hi. Can't say long, but need to see you playing all these meta decks. It's the decklist of the week. I don't love this one, but we're definitely working on it. Hopefully you're doing well. We can actually charge the server abstractly, right? Like we get through this cheaply, Stavka, whatever. This is a problem, maybe. We have to get nanotech down, but I think we can do this. It does look right. Yeah, it's really cool. Can you play cast? Do you get Trojan Horsed? I didn't do any math. They'd have to succeed by like probably at least 1. So maybe, maybe they would. How do we get through this and not get Trojan Horse, assuming that they don't have the second one? So this cost us, unfortunately, nothing. Cost us a credit. That's sick. This cost us a breaker. We'll fix that. They don't have a 3-coster res, so they can't stop Kahaf on us. This costs technically nothing if we do Turbine. The problem is like we can only install one more card here, and it has to be the Nanotech. I feel fine about this. I feel okay. I think we can do this. We're gonna have another click back so we can run back if we need to, because of border control. We haven't seen any so far. This is gonna slowly tax out our propeller. We, in theory, could pay 1 credit to break this, actually. Yeah, we don't have to use our propeller. That's cool. Much to Jeff's chagrin, propeller hasn't caught on in a Shaper meta. When is NSG going to print an Aesop's Pawn Shop? That's more fun. This server doesn't look bulletproof. Like, this has to be in development for the server to feel good. If it's in development, it might be annoying. It's a board control. I think this is kind of fine. So, breaking for 2 is pretty good. Did you manage to make Mercury work? I don't think we played more Mercury than what you saw on the stream. It was good enough. Like the problem with Mercury right now is like, I don't think Mercury feels on a competitive field better than some of the other options you have, right? Like Sable, even Xayah, right? I don't think it does, but I think they're more fun. Like I genuinely think that Mercury actually is pretty fun. If you're playing Netrunner to have fun, try out Mercury. It is actually really cool. But if you're trying to like win an event, Mercury wouldn't be my first pick. I think I'd skip playing the Nanotech, to be honest. How do we deal with Stavka though? Like I don't want to pay 4 for it. So now they have to use the border control because we're assuming it's a border control we have to run back, right? So that means we kind of need to get down to the Nanotech. Why are everyone playing Zato now? That's our last Angolo. Like we literally cannot run the server anymore. What's happening? We played Zato last week, and I think like, okay, we're 100% hit rate on Zato, but like as soon as we play a Shaper deck without sample chip, everyone's Zatoing us. Shit. That's bad. All right, well, we need a deep dive. We're going to need some money. They're going to score out. Yeah, we have a pinhole. We're going to be able to deal with it on a following turn. We have to give up on the here now, though. We don't have enough clicks, that's for sure. I'll get that on a daily cast. It's fine. Yeah, they'll want a pinhole. And I think that changes the D set to the deck. They were playing 2 pinhole, and like obviously that helps a lot. All right, they're technically on game point. We can consider running centrals. Let's go get a good reason 2. Overclock in HQ, 2 deep dive in 12. We should find a dirty laundry off of this. Yeah, there you go. Hannah's nice too. We are short an Onacom. Do we have 2 Onacom in the bottom? Yeah. Our Onacoms have been drawing really late. Like that's the sort of card that sets you up. We've been a bit slow on them for sure. A DZ would be okay, but here we want to do something that forces them to res. I think the only thing we know in hand is they played the extract, right? Yeah, we know nothing about hand besides maybe an envelopment, but that could be on the outermost. Oh, there's an envelopment there. So this is annoying because we committed to the dirty laundry. We probably have to break this thing, but this thing's an absolute bear to break. So it's a code gate, right? So if we want to break all of this, it's 7. So I think we're just going to walk away here. I don't think we can pay 7 to get a single access from HQ. They paused to res, but like they could be pausing because they don't know whether it's worth it to deny our dirty laundry or whether it's like they're doing some sort of math of whether it's worth it. But this is obviously not a great dirty laundry, unfortunately. I was about to say, like, we knew 1 card. I think we have to let that fire. We can't pay 7 for that. That's way too much. All right. Hannah's okay. I think we'll do another daily cast and just kind of ride that. 268. Man, I love the card text on top of cards. I can't get enough how good that is. I wonder why they shrink a bit. So let's see if they push here, right? So they generally are not running any 5/3s. I'd be really surprised too. But here they're probably going to push like another off-roll, another Oaktown, and then try and score out with an Audacity or like a hostile takeover. It's really difficult. This server is actually like really cheap for us to run. The problem is this Zato. So if they get another border control here, it's like annoying. It's because we have like a laundry list of things to do. Like we have to pop first we have the pinhole, then we have to run that. And if they do a border control, they can get another Zato there if they have one. And then like we kind of get beaten. Like they overwhelm our pinhole. Yeah, no problem. Oh man, but I just don't love the fact that we can't like exert any sort of pressure on central servers that forces them to interact with us. Because the only thing I can do right now is run R&D for a single. And then they'll be like, I guess we'll res. And then we end up paying like 4 credits for a single access, which doesn't make any sense. Are we in DJ? Yeah, we have 1 DJ in 9 cards and 2 deep dives. So that's generally how we get there. The problem is that we didn't steal points by like turn 11. So we're going to have to rely really, really, really hard on the deep dives. Nanotech, good versus Stopka half run. Yeah, the fact that we have both Ngolo and Nanotech, we're really good into Stopka half run. Like, it's nice that we actually have a built-in Stopka half run protection. As it will be expensive, that is for sure. But the cool thing with half run too is like it makes the Nanotech more powerful. So maybe it hits a breakpoint, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. They're thinking again whether they can push it or not. For what it's worth, like installing, they might get rid of the wrap run, but putting another border control here does cost a lot, right? It's 3 to install, 4 to res. That goes kind of quickly. They're gone to 22 cards on the wait. We got through 27 cards. We've seen 2 agendas. Like something is up. I wonder if we should just be going R&D for singles. I wonder if we should. Cause like I don't know if they have it. I don't know if they have any agendas. Then Velman res maybe suggest something. I think it's good we force them to res. I'd be happier if we didn't dirty laundry that for sure. Yeah. Cost us 4 to run the remote. That's the good thing we've got. And now we have to play remote camp. I don't know the last time I played like a hard remote camp deck. I think it might have been a Sunny deck when we were playing like bad publicity expose with like whatever that private eye was called. I want to say Rupert Grint. That can't be it. Extract, sick. They're making plays. This is what I love to do. Make a play. Raymond Flynn, thank you. Rupert Grint was not too far off. Maybe the envelopment goes. Envelopment seems to be pretty good. It's probably the wraparound and they get a 1 coster. Or maybe they can get rid of the ice wall and then like get a 0. Yeah, you know Raymond Flint, the guy from Harry Potter? He played Ron in the film. Getting a 0 coster. Yeah, let's see a spin doctor for Tempo. Rashida. Okay, that's cool. We don't have to deal with that. In some ways, the fact that like clearly HQ, they don't have ice here, I'm okay with Rashida firing because it's unlikely to find one agenda. It's likely to find some agendas. And then like we can obviously contest server 1, but we also contest HQ. That being said, if the Rashida finds, yeah, they're more likely to get more ice on that server, which is an issue. But we must preserve our pinhole. We must preserve our pinhole. We must, like, this is the balance between keeping enough money for the remote server and try to win with a deep dive. I'm going to play this as a click to draw too. Sick, it worked. Deep dive, deep dive. Overclock, overclock, pinhole. It's either we get rid of an overclock or we get rid of the turbine. I think we get rid of the turbine. The breakpoints for ice we're boosting into. Envelopment doesn't help. Well, yeah, it doesn't help. Whoredom helps. Magnet helps. Wheels down this turn, yeah, for sure. I don't think we play the turbine. I think we just overclock every central this turn. And try and have a 5-click turn. I just don't think that's enough. A 5-click turn means that we can steal most 4 points because his deck is not running 3-pointers. So then we have to rinse and repeat. Ugh. Oh, I hate this. Okay, so now we camp this server. And then... like, there's a chance that we have to Hannah this turn. Matches an NGO front. You don't overclock the first one. You overclock the second one or you overclock the third one. Because the first one, they have the more incentive then to just the border control right away. And then if you can get the overclock for sure after they border control. I'm just going to run it. I don't think you ever overclock on click 1. Like on the first challenge. Because we expect to run this server at least twice. Worst case scenario is like envelopment into border control. Technically in the other order, I guess. Do people border control right away? I think if they overclock, like they don't have an incentive to make us use all the credits. Like it kind of breaks even, right? Maybe that actually makes that a wash. But at least if you have an SMC, yeah, then people border control right away. Like if you overclock and then you say priority, they say nothing and they have SMC, then sometimes you res the border control and crack right away. It is dependent on the board state. But as soon as they pass priority, you're allowed to like just say runs over as soon as you res. I'm rooting for NGO personally. I don't think it is. I think they pushed here. I think they've just had a drought of agendas. I don't think the deck is running more than like 1 NGO. Maybe they are if they're running real 5-3s. Like if this is an SDS drone deployment, like we got an issue. They're thinking. I think I might have Hannah here. I'll Hannah back after we see what this is. Because again, if it's a border control, we want to Hannah back. You don't want to Hannah on the border control run, right? Because she gives you a tag if it's unsuccessful. Like, it's very likely that the first run will not be successful unless they decide, I think you got us here and we'll feed you this agenda and then we'll give you another one. And that's the case. We want to keep Hannah for a deep dive anyways. Like, our plan here is to steal points off of this and then use Hannah for a deep dive. Not that using Hannah here precludes us from doing that, but I'm not sure. I got to keep that in mind, but I don't know if I would. There has to be border control here because I don't know how you build a good server if there's no border control against like this sort of deck. Yeah, right? Do we want to give them 2 credits? No, I don't think so. So currently this only costs us 3 more credits. So this has to be expensive. What's expensive? 7 strength Stavka, envelopment, end of list. Whoredom is annoying. You can remote on the same turn you deep dive. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you can do that. And then the centrals. We're just not going to deep dive this turn because we had to pinhole. Oh, actually we could because we made a pin. Wait a second. You're right. We actually could maybe win in this turn because we technically ran archives with pinhole. I didn't consider that. I just don't think we're going to have enough money to do all of it. But yeah, that's totally true. We actually could, in theory, like used Hannah here, used Hannah for click, run HQ, run R&D. See 4 points on R&D. That's the thing though, is they're not running 3-pointers. We actually can't win unless we have a 6-click turn and multiple deep dives. Because we need run, deep dive, additional click, and then we only steal 4 points because we're assuming they're not on 3-pointers because most ops aren't. But NGO front maybe colors us, makes us consider something different. Hey, test. Wrap not costing propeller counter is huge here. Yes, yeah. The fact that we can actually just pay 1 instead of boosting from this is good. No, not at all. But yeah, no, it's really nice that we actually, if this was 1 strength, this is like so much worse for us. I think this has to be a Stavka. I don't know what else they're considering resing here. The question is like, what did they trash to the Stavka? It's probably the wrap. But if it's 7 strength, they don't have a 3-cost to res to half run. You think about the Hannah deep dive? I think we botched it so that we can't Hannah deep dive this turn in a meaningful way. Pretty sure. I think. All right. Let's see how far we go before we have to spend some money. So we have the nanotech. 5 is a nice number. It's wild. We have a 5-strength sentry breaker. Like, it's obviously we've been running to these 4A servers, but yeah, I don't know. Is Echelon as good here? Echelon technically is as good here. You think it's an NGO front? Place your bets now. If it's an SDS, we're in an ugly spot. We probably feed the nanotech. Development would have been a snap res. Yeah, probably. Let's see what 3-coster they get. They get another Zato. We're like a really bad spot. Some virus. Okay. What do you think this is? I think we can overclock this, and then we have an incentive to like overclock R&D as well, because we don't want them to get them a virus this turn. This line is really strange. This means that they have like something in hand that they want to score out so they can get a Tucana. So I think we want to challenge this, and then we want to challenge that. The thing is, like, they can't virus to get a Tucana on top of server 1. I'm going to overclock this. I don't know what this is. If it's an NGO front, it's fine. But this is strange. Wheels? You're right, maybe? Is the overclock better than wheels? I think the overclock's better. Because I'm assuming they might consider resing this. Oh, man, you're right. I'm, like, going on my way not to get wheels value. There's a chance that we only pay, like, get 2 credits extra from this. You might be right. Yeah, maybe that was a mistake. I think you're right. That might have been a mistake. Because I think we're going to get more overclock money than what this saves us. Yeah, maybe wheels there is good. We could. Because that was a 2-credit econ card. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. At least we didn't lose. What do you think we get rid of? Whatever we rated doesn't come back. I'm also worried now here that they can hit us with another Trojan horse. And if they hit us with a Trojan horse, we just lose. You think Nano? I think Nano is hard because then we can't play around Stavka half run. And they seem to be on program destruction that I kind of want to keep the nanotech. I think we need the nano, because then we don't lose to just the straight up stop half run. Like, clearly they're on Zato. I think they're on program destruction. Now, losing our propeller is bad too, because we can't break double barrier. How many Kens do you have? I don't know what that means. This is our last every program. Propeller gets us through envelopment for free next turn, which is huge though. Yes, but we have to contest this virus. What if we don't steal? I don't know. This is a very hard, important choice. Okay. Let's try and not get destroyed. We have to trash the 3-coster now. I think we overclock R&D. We just need to get this virus out of there. But now they can do boarding control and Stavka. We literally cannot get back in. For some very American reason, I thought there would be a stream tonight. Yo, welcome to Quebec. Yeah, we have to trash this. We can't let them have a 3-coster rezzed into like Stavka half run, and we just can't let them have a free 2-coster. Hannah's been useless so far. That's okay. No further action. I think we're going to lose a overclock here. We might have actually been okay with them rezzing stuff. Yeah, there you go. Okay, at least we can go through this. And we'll use this credit to like trash a sheet or something. Don't worry. That makes sense, honestly. Oh, fuck, it does net damage. Did anyone remember that does net damage? If I played in person, I would have totally forgot that we just absolutely smashed into net damage. Here they can Trojan horse our propeller, and I think we lose. Did we break? Yeah. Yeah, we did with the Ngolo. Oh, you're right, we didn't. No, we didn't, but it's fine. We had a credit left over on overclock. You're right, I didn't break. I think they're now going to Trojan horse our propeller, and then we have basically one turn to win. Yeah, you're right. We didn't break. We just painted. Yeah, Trojan horse. Yeah, they didn't throw out the Trojan horse. They held another one. Man, playing Shaper without a Simon chip, like, I don't get it. Now throw wheels and deep dive at end of turn. We can't throw wheels. You need to click for it. How's it going, Ryan? This is a kill combo op? No, it's just rig shooter. I played rig shooter on stream yesterday. I wanted to do a deep dive on rig shooter, but like I genuinely don't like playing into rig shooter. Like I don't think it's particularly fun. If you handed that could have been a deep dive? Oh no, I don't think so. If we handed the remote server and cracked it, yeah, it could have been a deep dive. Yeah, I wasn't expecting 5-3s, but I think once we saw the Trojan horse, I think we should have like recalibrated that this is clearly a deck that's trying to hurt us, and by hurt us I mean trash the programs. Yeah. Trace 11. I guess they have to, right? All right. So we're winning this turn. There's no way around it. This is the turn in which we win the game of Netrunner. It'll be this turn on which we win. With just a little propeller. It's a magnet. Good game. This has been miserable. All right, we can't run this. We can make one run on HQ. We don't have a legwork. They have an agenda goes remote server. Can you DJ Steve for Ngolo still? Yeah, you're right. We can DJ Steve for Ngolo. Oh, I like your thinking. Don't worry, we'll get there. But you're right, we can. Do we have any like bio bans? Like, do we have a way to do it clicklessly? We only have to make 3 successful runs. I almost conceded there. But yeah, we can DJ Steve run HQ. I like when the runner's invisible pain. It's a slog. And again, I think a big part of this is like, we're not making plays to force them to react to us. We just are constantly like, it's a feeling that like genuinely makes me anxious, where we're constantly like just chasing a car. We're like always on its tail. We're always going to be like, oh, if it gets out of sight for just 1 second, we lose the game. And we just have to shit, that's a problem. We just have to constantly, and I don't like that. I like it when they're chasing us, right? Like we'll be like, boom, I put down an imp. Boom, I have put down a boomerang. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the dog and the wheels are. Yeah, that's why we're not hitting this button. But yeah, it's not as kind of play. They only have 2 credits here. This could be an NGO front, so they could be on 7. But we have really small margins here. If they have Audacity, they win. I think that's an NGO front. Where's Steve? Where's Steve? I have to hope they can't res on 2, and that's not an NGO friend. Are you kidding me? Good game. We were just a turn too short. Good game. We misplayed that. We could have played that better. We could have known that's rig shooter. We should have seen the pieces together. We should have gone for the deep dive that we had the turn that we had it. I can't believe they didn't draw Jennas in the top 20 cards. I think that had an impact on the game. Thanks, you too. Quetzal though? No, we can't get through the magnet. Cheers. Yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. That's not doing good for me. All right, let's play something else. Again, I want to make something that makes the opponent react to us. I think we said that we were going to play Tagsgiving. I think we can build a deck, whatever. We're going to build a deck. I wanted to play this deck, which also came out from Toronto. I thought this was interesting. 4 credit Atea. You just like play Atea. And the cool thing about this deck, and I don't think we're going to play today, is like it's doing a bit of everything, right? Like it has timely public release as a fast advanced plan. But it isn't relying on it to just full fast advance. It's using it for click compression, which is okay. That's fine. I don't like the TPR decks that are just going out of their way to play like Yagi Uda. As much as Yagi Uda technically has text, I never liked it. So that's cool. That makes sense. Grug sad when rig shot. Oh, Grug's so sad. We played 2 grindy rig shooter ops and it's like just play simultip and the matchup is like so much easier. Now the other thing this deck does that's kind of fascinating is like Tranquility Home Grid is a nice way to get like sometimes a clumsy ability to work for you, because if you have these in both servers, you're just getting value no matter what you're jamming into the remote server. I think that's cute. I think that's fine. It's obviously cool with Adrian Seiss. That's nice. But I think the biggest thing I like with this deck, as much as it doesn't seem super consistent, is that it has a way of dealing with the fact that the Jinteki Ice Suite is like, it kind of got holes in it, because almost all the Jinteki Ice is like net damage stuff. And unfortunately, it's really hard to build some sort of like tempo rush stack the way that like PD or HB normally does, because you just don't have ice where the face check cost for the runner versus you is relevant unless the runner cares about cards in hand. So the idea here is that like there are some weird board states, and mind you, Tattoo Bowl in the remote server is just so cool in Atea, as much as you have to force the issue into Atea, because it fires Tranquility Grid consistently. Like that's really cool. But the idea is that if you can get a Fuji on the table and then like Neurospike, that actually is a win condition that cares about the fact that your ice just has net damage on it, because there's like no good Jinteki ice that ends the run. We just lost to Thimblerig, but you can ignore that. Tranquil's cool bad can fix with Lacosta. Yeah, that's the thing, is like that's why I think we played Lacosta for a while, but I think it's just cool to play Tranquility Grid. And then obviously same way with Ice Group, you can draw first to try and get a double install. And I don't know if this deck builds 2 remote servers. I don't think it does. Like we're only on 15 ice, but there's a chance that you just do like a slight bit of ice on both servers. And then you make the Tattoo Bowl is really annoying. I think we're going to try some tags here because we can play some with cards we haven't played before. But yeah, this is definitely neat. I think that's kind of cool. Let's build a deck. I'll try and play this on Tuesday. Tattoo can farm another 2 credits off Trank with Atea. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really like that. That's a way to do Atea. This is the sort of deck, mind you, that I'm doing a deck dive on right now. And like, I actually put Buffer Drive in it. I haven't installed it yet, but I'm hoping that we come around on this. But it's Persephone Essa, and it's kind of okay. It's like kind of surprisingly cool that you can just like Banhar through ice that you like Palangied. I genuinely was so surprised the first time Persephone fired, because if you haven't seen Persephone before, the text says, whenever you pass a sentry, after encountering it, you may trash the top card of your stack. If you do, trash 1 card from the top of R&D for each subroutine on the sentry that resolved during that encounter. Okay, so you read this text. Now take a little detour to the original text where I learned this card from when it came out in 2017 for FFG. Whenever you pass a sentry, you may trash the top card of the stack to trash 1 card from the top of R&D for each subroutine on the sentry. Is that the same text? No, it's slightly different. I thought that if you resolved 3 sentry subroutines, you had to trash 3 cards from the top of your deck to trash 3 cards from the top of the corporation's deck. That's not the case. You trash 1, they trash 3. And because Persephone is not unique, if you get 2 Persephones down, there goes your whole MU suite. You do 2, and then they do 6. That's actually really good. This deck is kind of really fun. The idea is that you play just like normal setup. I think I need to have a price in here, as much as we're already at 48 cards. You do normal setup stuff and you be annoying with Banhar, and then you have air blades for some amount of safety. I thought Palangi Persephone doesn't work. Oh my God. Oh my God, net dead. Oh my God, all my footage in the garbage. Oh, my afternoon. No, it works. Jaina makes it work. That's not an answer. Egret does work. I'm aware people were doing it with Egret, but I couldn't figure out why people were doing it with Egret, because Egret sucks. Egret's really, really bad. Palangi doesn't work, because the idea is that once you pass the ice, it's no longer a sentry. Okay, that makes me feel better, because we just don't play Palangi. We just play the fact that there are sentries out there. Now, Egret is the other option, but the problem with Egret is you have to install it from hand and it has to be on a resed card and you have to hold this in hand. Yeah, the reason why Palangi doesn't work, which is news to me, and I'm so glad that I brought this up, is that it says, the ice you're encountering gains a subtype for the remainder of the encounter. From what I understand, Persephone says whenever you pass a sentry, and when you pass the card that you Palangi to be a sentry, you're no longer encountering it, so it loses the sentry, because it's only considered a sentry for the encounter. So that won't work. That's really annoying, but I'm so glad I didn't sink more time into that. I lost a lot of time this afternoon. That being said, if you do Egret, it is cheaper. The problem with Egret is you have to keep it in hand. Maybe that means you can get away with like Egret and Simulchip. Maybe that's fine. Egret's not great, but it's not that much worse. The game was fun anyways. Yeah, I think it only fired once in our game, Izzy, so I don't feel too bad about it, but that's really good to know. Yeah, we had a really fun game. Bah. I don't think this deck is terrible, though. I really still don't think this deck is terrible. We just saved some influence. Just run into an Eula. Yeah, I saw people doing this with like a banner. And like, I don't know why you would go out of your way to do banner. So I wanted to play Persephone deck for a while. But specifically like Persephone I was going to do in Shaper. And then my realization is like, what's the easiest way to let subroutines fire? And I think in Shaper, people are like egreting into a barrier and then firing the banner or something. I don't exactly know what it does, but I think this card is just like not worth what it does. Because then you have to find something with multiple end the run subroutines and you fire it. I think like in Anarch, it's just so damn easy to put a Banhar and be like, haha, sentry goes burr, and you just fly through it. And then you can take the net damage or you can prevent the net damage. Originally, we're on 3 Airblades, you don't need it. But yeah, the idea is like if you put, you know, your Airblades down and you Banhar through a Eula that you've had to Egret now, we've learned, you mailed 2 cards, they mailed 12. And it's not sabotage, it's straight from top of R&D, so they can't be like 2 from HQ, right? Which is like how you lose in the late game when they start sabotaging from HQ, because this deck can't do HQ pressure really well. In some ways, that's actually kind of cool. I think that means that we have to play like Egret and then like SMC or like Egret Simulchip, and maybe that means we have a stronger late game. Simulchip is what, 3 influence or 2 influence? If it's actually only 2 influence, that actually, how many times am I gonna say actually? If it's only, that might be okay. We might be able to get around with 2 Egrets, 1 Simulchip, and that might actually be more consistent. Because it means we can recur the Persephone too. How many subs on the ice did there have to be before you consider Banharing through it for no extra value other than Persephone trigger? It depends on board state, but like 2. Yeah, Lamb has the same problem. Yeah, Lamb is for the end encounter. I think 2. If you have 2 Persephones down, you mill 2 cards on the top of your deck, off your deck, and ideally with Buffer Drive, which like I put this in the deck, I haven't used it yet because you have other problems before Buffer Drive comes down. I think with the price, this is a bit more actionable. Yeah, I think it's worth it because if you mill 2 and they mail 4, it's messed up, especially if you put it on the ice on Archives, because like then it's a click and press run if you can force them to ice up Archives. So I think Persephone doesn't have to work that hard to be reasonable, because like the big thing with Persephone is you're not using any of the terrible breaking text on it, you're using the cool text on it because you just don't care, you're on Banhar. Like I genuinely think Banhar Persephone is worth considering. Rip Paintbrush Tinkering, yeah. You can land Barrier, I guess. I don't think you can. I think Lamb is the same thing where it's only for the encounter. Yeah, you also can't Lamb Persephone. Wait. Huh? I don't know why this matters. Sorry. You can land banner. Oh, I think that's what people are doing, but that also doesn't work. Yeah, it's a barrier. So if you do land banner, not only does it not work because of Persephone, but like, yeah, it's not sentries. Persephone cares about sentries. Hey, Dan, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, let's build the tag deck. And I want to play with some of the tag cards that nobody's playing with because I think there's some stuff here that are kind of interesting. So I played a whole bunch of games today. I think like half of them, if not more, were Reality Plus. I honestly kind of like the ESA to Reality Plus matchup because I don't feel bad about it. You can trash a couple things, you got to clear a couple tags, but you just put on so much pressure that's hard for them to keep combo pieces. And I never felt that bad. I never felt horribly locked out the way that you do in like some run-based criminals, which is kind of cool. Amaze is secretly good. I don't think Amaze is secretly good. I think Amaze is really good. I don't think anyone has a good way of dealing with Amaze. It's just like the problem with the maze is that at some point it doesn't matter when you're on game point. But yeah. So the two things that I want to try out, firstly, I'm going to go change the standard collection, is that nobody is playing with the annoying ice, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like nobody's playing with Jaguarundi and nobody is playing with Phonotria. I think the problem in NBN is that you don't have a good incentive to run that ice because the ice you have in faction is really, really good. Imp. Oh yeah, Imp is good. Yeah, Imp is a way to deal with the maze amusements, but like that's relatively a small part of the meta. So I think it's just an annoying card to deal with. Is this better or worse than anything else? It's fun, face check, you res it for 2 credits. The core damage is relevant only if we build a kill deck, and I think we will. I don't know how far we can go into like Phonotria too, which is also really annoying. And if they have less cards in hand, they don't take a tag. And if they do take a tag, we res this once again, excuse me, for 2 credits. Cool. Why do we care about hand size? Because we're going to try and kill the runner. The issue with killing the runner is like the big kill piece, end of the line, is like really big on influence. It's 4 influence. And so then we probably have to play some amount of mindscapings, but they're 2 a pop. I think one of the cards that is kind of really underrated right now is Public Trail. And the thing with Public Trail is that like single tag punishment isn't as relevant as obviously the multiple tag punishment. But Public Trail coming in to kill someone at the end of the line when they're just on low hands is very doable. And I think the sort of like super modernism Shell and Wayland, there's a lot of runners that just don't have 8 credits in hand if you're jamming aggressively that have less than 5 cards in hand because you're also jamming aggressively and they can't keep cards up. I think you see that a lot in sort of like the op horizontal decks that care about things like urban renewal. Like they're not playing this. They have other reasons that they have other lines to do, but I think Public Trail into kill is like way stronger than it looks because the amount of people playing like no free lunch is pretty minimal. Stone Ship Chart Room, pretty minimal that you can actually get people with this, and maybe getting, you know, some core damage will help. Obviously you still play Oppo because it's Oppo, but I think this card is worth something. The problem is like we probably have to cut some of this ice to end up playing like 2 mindscapings. I think the Phonotria is probably less interesting. We also have to watch out that we want to make like Snare, mind you, is probably worth playing, but we want to make Threat 4 relevant, which is kind of tricky because if we're playing Bologna, is like Threat 4 is a really awkward spot because Threat 4 might only be online when we're on game point, they're on game point. Sync rerouting Wage Workers B1001. I think CTZ recently like put up, not recently anymore, but like put up a sync rerouting deck. It seems fine. Like it seems really okay. Obviously, with B1001, they just can't run unless they run the B1001, but like we can't really stop that. The thing is, like, I think we're more interested in getting like ways to do damage. And I don't think, what is the meat damage one? I don't think we're gonna play Argus Lockdown because it's like 4 influence or something. But yeah, I think we're gonna worry about the kill and just be jamming the remote server and make it matter. I think what we're gonna run into is once we spend this sort of influence on the deck, we'll realize like it's hard for us to be to like tempo out. That being said, my spicy tech for the deck is Front Company. I think so. Oh man. Broco rerouting is rude as hell. Oh, because R&D is safe. How much influence hostile architecture is probably like 3. Yeah, it's 3, and also it's 5 credits, which like that's never gonna happen. As soon as we end up with these many cards, though, like we probably should be playing op, honestly. But yeah, the idea is that they can't run until they run centrals. If they run centrals, we have mean ice. I think that's kind of neat, but the problem again with Front Company is that it's a bit of influence. How spiky can we make centrals? Mine is Mindscaping plus 1 pivot. Yeah, that might be fine. But then like, are we playing 1 copy? I think pivot's actually pretty good. Are we playing 1 copy of what are we doing for 1 influence? Because we can't play Front Company. Front Company will be the key to some really gross decks. I think it can. I just think like Front Company is also so absurdly extra. Because like for Front Company to be good, you need to ice up centrals and make the central face checks mean. And then you have to care about the click compression on the remote server. And it's true that R plus does face check ice into pretty well. The one thing that I think makes Front Company like worth considering is as soon as we get basically Sundew. I don't know if you played back in the day where this was a card, but like we used to have an ID that basically had the text on Front Company on it. I know it was an ID and it was really powerful as much as it was a Dark Horse deck and then quietly won worlds and people were like, wait, this is really good. The text here is really confusing, but in short, if you don't spend your first click running this, you gain 2 credits. And once we get a card like that, that makes a lot of sense in Atea, then Front Company is definitely worth it because it gets you a confirmed econ package. As of now, it's just an inconvenience for kind of both players. Just set Evna is fine to annoy runners on centrals. They also need to take extra sync rerouting triggers to contest the board. I played against Sundew, so annoying. Yeah, it's annoying. It's like daily quest, but not. It's kind of cool. Can we get Sundew as an ID now? If you don't run HQ, click 1. Oh man, do you know what I was thinking? Okay, so I always want to like just do a tangent to talk about game design stuff for sure. Put this in here. Y'all play Marvel Snap? So Marvel Snap is this game. I don't have to explain the whole mechanics of the game, but it's a game that I used to play a fair bit of, like maybe a year ago. It's still a cool game right now, but we just don't play it that much, probably for better. But in the game, you have cards. Cards have a mana cost, a power cost, and then they have power. And then you put them in on your turn, you spend your mana to put them face down secretly. And then your opponent's doing the same thing at the same time. Everyone has the same turn. And then you do a reveal phase. One player reveals first, then the other player reveals. Whoever is winning the board reveals first. And these cards generally have text on them. There's very few cards that are just numbers for obvious reasons. They'll say like when revealed, do something, or ongoing, this has an ability, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of archetypes. Cards trashing themselves, discarding cards from hand, sending things over to your opponent's side, ongoing effects, when reveal effects, doubling stuff. Like obviously there's so many things, and every card is like really elegantly attached to a character in the Marvel universe. So you can look at Rhino and have an idea what Rhino's going to do. He's going to smash stuff. It's what Rhino does. Oh, cool. Now the big thing that I think is the huge pull in Marvel Snap is that there are location cards. And every turn, there's 3 locations. And again, to win the game, you have to win 2 to 3 locations. This is a phone, so it's sideways. Except the locations are random. There's a pool of, I think, like 80 or 90 locations now. They keep adding one, like 1 or 2 every week or so. And every turn, these locations at the beginning of the game are blank, and only the first one is revealed. Then on turn 2, the second one's revealed, and on turn 3, the third one's revealed. Now, when they're revealed, it doesn't stop you from playing into those lanes, those locations. You just don't know what the location is. And mind you, each location can only hold 4 cards. But the big thing is that these locations actually have text that fundamentally changes the game. So for instance, Onslaught Citadel in middle says ongoing effects here are doubled. That's really powerful, but not specifically maybe for your deck, maybe for the opponent's deck that has ongoing cards. The hub is, when it's revealed, you add a random card to each hand. Apparently there's 2 hubs here for some reason, but then there's some really wild locations. When you play a card here, fill this location with copies of it. Whenever you play, whoever has the lowest power here wins the game. Cards can only be played here till turn 4. Like this Ego one is super rare, but Ego takes over and just plays the game for you. But the big idea with these locations is so fascinating because 2 players with the exact same decks that they've played against each other for many games, the locations are going to change those games. And it's always exciting because you don't know what's going to come up. But again, the idea is that if I play the same location, if I play the same 2 decks as like, a battle set, the locations will be a huge impact on the game, and every game is different. You can be from far behind in a cool location, and the way they interact, they shuffle rocks into your opponent's deck, can win you the game. I think this is so interesting, and it's like something that we haven't seen so much in Netrunner cards, and it's something I'm fascinated when it comes to things like upgrades or regions. Is like, what kind of card can you have on the table that fundamentally changes how the game plays to some extent on a certain server? Whereas like not the base rules of the game, because you can't challenge that, but like so far we've mostly seen upgrades that like do something protective or do something offensive. But we haven't seen a lot of upgrades that just like fundamentally are like a location on Marvel Snap, whereas like the cost and the strength of icebreakers are swapped while making a run on this server. Like it's a surprise once it's res. Maybe that's a relevant meta card, maybe it's not, and obviously nobody plays the card because that doesn't sound like a good effect. But it's the sort of thing I'm really interested in, to be like, what can we build that will actually be a surprising way that forces you to tackle a problem in a different way? Off the Grid feels close. Yeah, Off the Grid is kind of actually like a Marvel Snap location to some extent, where I just searched Marvel Snap. It's an old card. Sounds a bit like L5R Strongholds. Kind of, but aren't L5R Strongholds just like identities? Yeah, this technically looks like a Marvel Snap location where you just can't run this until you do something else. And there's a lot of locations / provinces. Most wild location, computer AI autopilots your deck the whole game. Yeah, that's Ego. It's a really wild location. It's super rare. It's really exciting when it happens. The GDC talk Ben Brode gave about Marvel Snap was awesome. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And Ben Brode is like incredibly charismatic, and his talks are very good. A lot of effort went into making that game as cool and as elegant as it is. As much as like, if you're not a Marvel fan, I could see how you could bounce off of it, but the game has a lot really cool to show in it. Anyways, yeah, there's like so many cool things that like you can crib from other card games that if you introduce them to Netrunner are really exciting. I know we've talked about the idea of like tokens. I'm a big Marvel Champions fan, which is like the Fantasy Flight Games Marvel game, and I think it's just a really swell game. But with those games, whenever you play a character, it's not just you have an identity that has text on it, but every time you play that identity, it comes with 15 of its own cards. And so basically almost half of every deck that you play that is, Ant-Man versus, Captain Marvel is different than every other deck because 15 of those cards are unique to that character. And Netrunner doesn't do that. And I wonder how cool it would be if it was like, oh, you played Hoshiko. Not only do you get Hoshiko, but you actually get this like a set of unique consoles or like a token that only Hoshiko interacts with. Like the closest we have to it is the mark mechanic, which technically interacts with outside cards from the game. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that can work in that space. And I think it's kind of cool. Off the grid would actually be sick and op though. Damn, it trashes for envelopment. Yeah, when the runner runs on this, after they run HQ, get envelopment, it would be pretty cool. Dice to pinhole for 0. This card was never good, mind you. It was never like a really consistent card. It's a very early Netrunner card, but it's like a very exciting Netrunner card. It has a really good theme too. Anyways, we'll try and build this bad deck. Cool. Yeah, like we saw, I don't know, like we saw like these sort of weird locations and none of them see play, right? Like midway station grid. During runs, the runner must spend an additional credit to use icebreaker abilities. Like this is somewhat close to the idea of like what a region is or what a location is in Marvel Snap. I don't think this one's fun, but I just want other ways to subvert the rules in interesting ways, as opposed to be like, oh, you get a tag on this one. Like, okay, I guess. Okay. One thing I really like about Netrunner and Magic compared to a lot of other card games is the idea that you can theoretically put any card in any deck. It's weird. It's like, in some ways it's a blessing, in some ways it's obviously a curse. And this is something that I've seen from the difference between like Arkham Horror and like Marvel Champions, is that like the card pools, you know, at some point it's really big and then you have a lot of options. But if you're playing Arkham Horror, right, and you're playing, say, a class like Mystic, most Mystics, every character has like limitations on what cards they can put in their deck. No character can put every card in their deck. Technically that might be incorrect. But the idea is that when I play a Mystic, and then I play this Mystic, I build a Mystic deck, I play with most of the good Mystic cards. And then I play another Mystic, I play with most of the Mystic cards. And so like 2 Mystics are only different when their identity ability forces you to play the game different, which is kind of rare, but it's happening more consistently now. And I think that's really, really good for the game. Or just the fact that they're not allowed a certain part of the card pool and that limits them and forces creativity. But I've played so many, like, you know, for better or for worse, rogue decks in Marvel and Arkham Horror, where the identity ability is actually overshown by the cards in the deck, and the cards in the deck can be played by every character. So every rogue feels the same. Every, you know, Guardian is playing, you know, playing 5 influence for that silly hammer or for the Time Worn brand or, you know, stuff like that. And then it doesn't feel interesting. Whereas like the identity choice is probably to most people meant to be the most important thing. And at the end of the day, it decides 2.5 cards in your deck, as opposed to like, you know, all Anarch decks were largely the same. And it's just the identity ability is not that important. But, you know, when Marvel Champions, when you change characters, half the deck changes with you by demand. And I find that fascinating. Which I think you lose the card packages like Marvel Champions. Oh yeah, that's true. Marvel Champions sells with complete decks. That's a very big deal. That the way that they distribute is really healthy for that. I don't know. It's like, give me a Krissa P and skimming as a token that my identity can generate when I make 2 successful runs. Right? Like every time I make a successful run, put a power counter on my identity. Clickless action, once per turn, spend 2 power counters, get a Krissa P and skimming, add it to your hand when it's played, remove from the game. Or even pull it from your deck. So technically you deck building restrictions work, right? Like, I don't know. It's cool. Kind of. Maybe that's not an interesting ability, but you know what I mean? Like if you play Flesh and Blood, the fact that there's counters and tokens that are used across large swathes of card pools, that's in some ways not proving my point, but oh man, I've had a frustrating day of playing against Op. This is what happens. All right, let's try and build this deck. Okay. So we're going to play a lot of trap stuff. Oracle Think Tank might make a fair bit of sense because if they hit this, they'll probably be good at it. Put a sticker on an event in your hand. Yeah, we can upgrade it. Give it +2 power strike. I keep getting absolutely floored by this. I don't know if y'all seen this. It's only like super relevant if you've seen the original card. The fact that this is the text on the card is so cool in NSG Netrunner formatting. I can't get over this. That's so cool. A paid ability on a run event. Put a sticker on an event in your hand. Let's go. Okay, I think we're being forced to probably not play Phonotria here. I think the conditions on this lining up are like pretty hard to be relevant. If the rest of our ice carries us, we're in a good spot. The idea is like we need influence on things like Snare. Like we need to get them to low hand size and we need them to get tagged. How do we do both of them? And unfortunately, like I feel like the shortest path a lot of times is like just jam Snare in your deck. I can't be wrong about that, right? Like that's probably the thing. Let's try the sync stuff. The thing though, the problem with sync rerouting is like it's not easy for us to like score our Bolognas with this thing. Unless we play Wage Workers, which we're not. Because this is the sort of thing that we'd like to put like 3 cards on the table and play sync rerouting and then like go ahead and put a B1001 out there. And then that's annoying for them because they end up taking 2 tags. But I think we'd have to do NEH for that. But the fact that actually like once per turn we get 2 credits is really good. The sticker sideboard in constructed Magic is such a wild concept to me. Wait, is that actually a real thing? I don't know anything about that. Oh man, there's a conversation today so Flesh and Blood had the world championship this last weekend. I know there's a conversation that somebody on YouTube was putting out about like neurodivergence when it comes to competitive games, because somebody received a game loss at the Flesh and Blood World Championship. And it's worth noting the Flesh and Blood World Championship is multi format. So you play constructed, but you also play draft. So you're sitting around a table and you have draft, and draft has relatively strict rules, especially at the World Championship, where you're not allowed to look at other players, because in theory you could see what cards they draft. You could see like, you're technically meant to be like eyes down, look at only in front of you, which is so weird when you're meant to be in a room with 8 people. Like that's just such a strange format to be like, you look at nobody and you draft the cards. And apparently a competitive player who's has ADHD, so they struggle at being able to be like, especially in that sort of environment, like just look down, look at nothing. And they were looking at other players and they got expelled. They got disqualified from the event for, sacrificing the integrity of the draft because they were looking at people. And that's like a really hard thing to fix. It's like, I don't, it's rough. It's like the conditions required to play draft at the high level. I think so many people just can't do it. Like stare down, look at nothing, and trying to figure out like what organized play has to do to make a lot more people be able to compete at the high levels is super, super wild. Steel Fur. Yeah, I think you're right. It was Steel Fur. Sean, by the way, how's it going? The YouTuber, not the player. Oh, there's a player. Yeah. Sticker sideboard is a real thing. Magic is a totally normal game. Wait, what? The fact that it is negative EV to not carry them around regardless, because not having them clues your opponent that you're not playing the one constructed playable sticker card. I also watched a thing. I think we're going to get back to Netrunner in a second. Apologies. There's a lot of like really interesting new stuff in terms of card games. From what my understanding too, I watched up this, again, a YouTube thing, sitting home with COVID. Oh, Sean, hopefully you're feeling better real soon, eh? Kind of on that thing, I remember this happening. There was players back in the day, really friendly players, that back in the day, the closest thing that we had to end the line was Scorched Earth. And when you sat across a player, if they're playing NBN, hell, they're playing Wayland, they're playing HB, knowing whether they were Scorched Earth deck or not was important. So what some players did is that they would keep a Scorched Earth in their deck box, or they would keep it as like a bottom card somewhere that when they opened their deck box, if you were looking, you could see the Scorched Earth, but it wasn't part of their deck. They would pull out their deck, the Scorched Earth would stay in the box, and then they would shuffle up and play. And if you're trying to like, use that edge gains to see their deck box, sometimes they would make it more obvious and play it around Scorched Earth that obviously wasn't in your benefit, and they could get you like that. And so having that deck box Scorched Earth was kind of like a joke that some people did. You can argue whether it's scummy or not. I'd argue it's slightly scummy, but at least the people there would laugh about it and talk about it later. I don't know. Who knows? Apparently somebody was doing like a deck dive, someone who's like competitive at Yu-Gi-Oh, and talk about the same thing. They said like, oh, and I always keep these tokens in my box so that when an opponent plays it, they think I'm playing a deck that requires a certain token. And Konami saw that and disqualified this person. I think they got banned for a year from competitive play because they said that act of like that sort of angle shooting, it actually is you showing or portraying board state in some sort of disingenuous way, and that goes against their code of conduct. The thing is, like, I don't know if Netrunner players still do that. I don't know what NSG, like, their policy is on that sort of thing. But that's sort of like misdirection where, like, you keep your Steve Cambridge IDs around you if you're not playing Steve Cambridge. Like, that sort of stuff, whether that is illegal or not. Because apparently in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, you can't do that. As much as, like, that's a common practice for Magic the Gathering players who will keep certain tokens in their deck box and allow you to see them while they open their deck list. So you'd be like, oh, shit, they're playing goblins or whatnot. It's really weird. It's my emotional support, Scorched Earth. Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange. It's like, that's a very, very heavy-handed ban. I'm surprised about that. Play these GMEs to connect with other players. That's such a weird rule. That's messed up, TBH. Which part of it's messed up? Because like I've seen people play, token box Scorched Earths or bring like tokens that are not in their deck to be like, oh, they're playing aggro, and then they play control. But then you saw they have like goblin tokens and they're like their Magic the Gathering deck box, stuff like that. I heard a rumor in our meta there was a player who had 3 copies of the same Jinteki Biotech and still chose between those 3. I've heard that story before too. Yeah, you pretend to choose. You always should pretend to choose, and that's the problem. You should always pretend to choose. Yeah, you just keep 3 the same. You shuffle, you think, and you pick one. So no matter what. And then they see the other one in your deck box. Like it's so messed up what you can do with that. It's really fun. Do we play Fly on the Wall? Like, how bad can we make this? How annoying can we be? Can we just like slowly push out small agendas? Like, this is the sort of deck where like how much influence is Hypoxia? Oh man. I wonder if we should just be playing Barf. Because like we just want to put as many small agendas to be as annoying as possible. I honestly think this is the sort of deck that's probably wants to play like 2 Fly on the Wall and then like 2 copies of False Lead. In fact, False Lead is probably just strictly better. Don't all biotech players do that? I don't know. It's hard to get 3 copies anymore. You have to ask your friends. But I think the only biotech players left in the world have 3 copies of the same idea. Okay, so the idea here is we need to do damage. What ice do we have in faction that does damage? Is there anything that does damage? No? A token box is a token box. It's free country, right? You can't put whatever you want in there, and if your opponent infers anything, but that's on them. Yeah, apparently Konami doesn't think it's the way. That's the way. And smiling is pretty good. I hear you, but like you technically produce it to the table. A lot of players do. So like I could see why you could make that argument, but I also see why there's some contention. Feels scummier to try and steal a peek at your opponent's stuff than to do some misdirection. The thing is, Nick Jonesy, I don't think people are like, you know, like cranking their head how it's going, but like the opponent, especially with that sort of like, you know, flourish, they will open the deck box in front of you. Like they're trying to make you look. And I think like normally as a human being, you do a weird object and you open it in front of me, I'm gonna look, right? So me walking to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament with a prepared speech justifying every token in my backpack. Every piece has its spot. I'm frustrated by Hydra. I don't think we're gonna have 10 credits, but resing this for 3 credits is so absurd. I feel like that's hard to deal with. Jua is antithesis to what we want because we want to have the cards not in hand. This is why open deck lists at top tables. This is why open deck lists at top tables probably. There's a lot of reasons. I think that's probably like 6th or 7th down the list, but I really appreciate open deck list Netrunner. I really do, especially because we can read all 94 op cards. Doesn't Yu-Gi-Oh also have a story of the infamous Ginormous deck that took up a whole long card box? Yes. Yeah, but they did change the rules because of that. Joe, that is an interesting thing, but they did end up changing the rules. I think this is the sort of deck where the thing is like you never have to play Authenticator because all your right ice is basically Authenticator. But we could. VSA doesn't work, should work. Virtual Service Agent. Hey, I wonder if we can get VSA to show up on that. I feel like there are all sorts of weird tournament stories coming from you. Yes, yes. Well, yeah. Magic the Gathering is probably no different. Okay, we have a bit of a deck. I think we need B1001 because ideally we're like putting 3 cards on the table at all points in times, right? I feel like that's enough ice. In fact, that's probably too much ice. My Netrunner token tray has virus counters in it. You gonna go on me if I don't have turtles in my Crim deck? You know what I mean? I think tokens, like when I say tokens, I mean like token cards. I think tokens isn't like acrylic tokens. Like, do you have bad publicity in your deck or recurring credits? No, but I think everyone has virus tokens because no reason. You're right. It's weird, but it's meant to be like your Netrunner collection, right? Like Magic, you generally bring your Magic deck to a tournament. Yeah, you need a team of people to shuffle. Okay, what else can we do here that's like going to be kind of messed up? Bringing mark cards? Yes, exactly. But that's the idea. It's like bringing a stack of identities, being like, oh, am I playing Steve Cambridge or sorry, DJ Fenris? Who knows? Like that's the sort of thing. And that is the big question. Who knows? Is hedge fund better than any of our other options? This ice suite's really annoying. We have to play some amount of beholds. And we're just gonna put stuff on table. We have to play one more agenda. What's a 1-pointer that's good? Aaron Head Security is like kind of annoying. I think we just do Fly on the Wall. We have 1 influence. What are you thinking? Oppo? Yeah. All these people trying to send wrong signals about their deck, and I'm just lucky if I noticed. Yeah. You just gotta clear the tag. I just try to remember to clear the tag out here. No, I hear you. Planogram is pretty good if they're going to tag me. We have Pivot, we have Mindscaping, End of Line. I don't think we have a huge incentive to like the problem is now that we're relying on kill. A virus time? Yeah, probably. But we're on 44. How bad is this deck? Because like 44 is good. This opening, imagine this opening. This is a terrible opening. We do Hedge Fund, Oracle, Ping. All right, we're getting somewhere. No Rashidas. Oh shit. Yeah, hold on. It's like so easy to forget a fundamental when you're building like this. All right, I was like, what do we put on the remote server? I guess Oracle Think Tank. That can't be it. Okay. Yeah, I think we do ping Rashida Setievna on Central. And she's only 4 res. That's pretty good. Hopefully we get our thing. Okay. Then we can do Jaguar. What we probably want here is because we have so many small agendas, like we would appreciate something like Arella. We'd also not appreciate Hermes. It's just like hard to like make these small agendas work for us because we have to do a lot of advancing. Huh. This seems bad. Maybe we play less agendas. Yeah, we probably want to play fewer of these. We can cut, this goes down, and now we can play fewer agendas. At some point, trying to draw inferences based on the visuals of a deck and accessories, like trying to psych out a player with snare sleeves. Yeah. Or like Reaper function playmat, blend the watery playmat. Like I've heard people say that. You know, you bring your net damage playmat and then you play like Glacier Techie. It's real. Yeah. Rongi, how's it going? Yeah, he knows. Okay, how to be really annoying with this? Like freedom information, maybe. Cut some for Crypto Crash. I feel like Crypto Crash is only really good. Okay, I think Crypto Crash is really, really good, but I just want to play the same Reality Plus deck, you know? Freedom information is kind of cool. What's it called is actually really interesting as well. Better Citizens program, that's kind of fun, right? Take tags, no matter what happens. Snare sleeves, yeah, Tyler, there's used to be old snare sleeves back in the day. We could try some BCP. Never scored this out. Seems like it would be annoying. Escalate Vitriol. Such a powerful ability. Click for 3 credits. Ranji has a silent alarm. Go off whenever anyone mentions Reaper function. Yeah. Amaze. Better Citizens program. Love my snare sleeves. I have a whole bunch of old snare sleeves. I still have a bunch of the old FMG ones. We left, I think, one of the sets. We brought a couple sets to Barcelona. I think we definitely gave some to the piano. Amaze, BCP, credit. The thing is, like, how do we win on here? If we advance once, right? This is interesting. I think we're somewhere. We're at 45 cards. Orbital. Oh no, no. It's not silent. I don't want to play Orbital. I've never felt good about it. It's like really hard to make a 4-2 and them have a tag. Giving them a tag on a 4-2 is like, can't be it. I think we cut a card here and we're like kind of in an okay spot. Just look them up. You can tell I'm a very new player because I thought that's not what snare looks like. Oh yeah, you're missing the original snare. I think a lot of players have a really soft spot for the original snare art. The original snare art is pretty cool. I think we don't need public trail here. We have no single tag punishment besides the thing we do. I'm curious if the Jaguar does anything. Yeah, the Jaguar probably doesn't do anything. I think it's going to be annoying. We're in a really awkward agenda suite. We're like, Jaguar is way better, unfortunately, into a deck that's only running 2-pointers because then its threat is online for literally half the game. That's not the place you want to be with Reality Plus. I think the Jaguar hitting the core damage on the face check like only happens on the same times where like, you know, the face check would be equally, if not worse. Like this is the bad part, right? Like the face check on Jaguar and the hitting are on the almost the exact same board states where the face check of Starlit Knight is going to hit. And the face check on Starlit Knight is worse. Now the Jaguar run D only matters if we also care about damage. And there's a chance that we do care about damage, but that would be like end of line into public trail, which we'd have to play more of them. I think we want to do end of line public trail. We'd probably want to cut down a mindscaping. I think it would make more sense to cut a mindscaping, cut a snare, play a second end of line, cut the pivot, play another snare. Let's do that. Hold on. We have 1 influence. I like the Jag. Yeah, the Jag is okay, but we have to play public trails with this. I think something like this is probably fine. We could do 3 or 2. This is becoming something. We have that floating influence that we still haven't dealt with. Is there an ice on floating influence that says tag on it? There's no 1 influence tag ice, right? That'd be wild. It's weird how good Hunter would be modernly. Happy Turkey Day, mistakes. Elwin, how's it going? Hopefully you had a good one, hey? Is there anything that says tag on it? That's 1 influence? No, there can't be. No, there's not. Huh. Because this is actually like a better, I think, win conditions. Public trail end of line. Hopefully they lose some sort of hand size and we can just force them out to go fast enough. The thing is, like, if they take multiple tags, we don't have tag punishment, but like that's our secret. If that's the case, we could drop BCP and then we could play. Snare is so iconic. It's going to be really important to build a card that is Snare, and I think Behold is like Snare but less fun, unfortunately. Yeah, I think we do find free. What's it called? The truth, freedom of information. This probably makes more sense. Yeah, we just build hell. How much dice do we have? 8, 9, 10, 11. What are we cutting? Less fun for who? Everyone? Like, the fact that you fire this for 2 credits in Reality Plus means, like, that was the beauty of Snare, is 4 credits is a lot of money for a trap deck. 2 credits for a Behold is not a lot of money. 2 credits is not a lot of money. But like 4 credits, they clear a tag, they draw cards. If they do, like, I don't know. It feels so much more reasonable to me. Maybe a Snare with threat text. I think that's a card that could get threat text. I'm not sure. I'm excited for a late game Snare. Fly on the Wall Saboteur Sensen, FOI. Yeah, Kyle, that whole combo deck, like, I don't know if you can play into Hermes anymore. I don't want to think about Snare going away. I love the card. Yeah, there's a lot of cards going away. Random Influence, yeah, but we have to cut a card already. I think you're right that Mavarus is like the most obvious inclusion here, but now we have to cut 2 cards. And I think it's going to eat into like our cool package for Cool Corpse. Synchro Cooling. But I kind of want to play Synchro Routing. Authenticator, you're right. But now we got one more. We got to go one deeper. Do we cut a second Oppo and then we have 2 Oppo, 2 Public Trail? We have an Oppo in our hand, so we know it's good. Rashida, ping, hedge fund, go. Draw 3, get 1, win the game. Yeah, this is fine. Force Connection, it's too influence though. Force Connection is like, there's no reason to play Force Connection now that Behold is out, unless you care about the fact that I'm pretty sure it's an upgrade, which is like kind of sick. But like, I'd rather play that in, again, like end of the line, a Public Trail Wayland with like bad publicity, something like that. Tagsgiving. NBN Reality Plus. I only realized today that the Sovereign of Subway's team that was called NBMOGN is because it was Neil, Bushi, Night Ride. Why not both? Yeah, in this deck, it's because we don't have money. But it's actually kind of cool, right? Like, if you do pay into the Trace, you get your money back. So, like, you can make Trace 6 cost the same as a Snare in Reality Plus. Court. I wanted to fit Force Connection and combo kill on, but it's tough. Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. Hey, Izzy, what are you playing? Hosh. And good Hosh with the cool background. Hey. Thanks, you too. All right, 48 cards. Worried that we're going to get some agendas imped. That is big Hosh, but not absurd Hosh. I think we're just going to open with Rashid and remote server. Whatever happens to the blown in our hand, absolutely sign me up. Minutes before disaster, he says. Oh, VSA is great too. Sometimes hard for Hosh to find that like 2 of Buzzsaw and 48 cards before it stops mattering. Let's just get some money. We don't actually have a lot of event economy. Like, we could definitely consider YDL or the predictive planogram. I actually think the hedge fund is less important maybe than the VSA. Us having 2 more credits here doesn't matter because the ping gets rezzed for free. Like, there's no way that we don't play hedge fund next turn. So I'll just VSA R&D. Yeah, that is mulch-sized Hosh, right? That's the reason why we want a VSA HQ, so we don't get this imped, because this getting imped is pretty bad for us. All right, free ping is good ping. Let's go. Get out. So now she can face check into this. Yeah, it's a mulch. Let's go. We're going to force an issue. Which issue? Points. Whoa. Like, this is it. If we didn't res the damn thing, we do Oppo end of line, Izzy's dead. Like, I don't think people play around this. Obviously, if we didn't res, the Rashida doesn't go down, but like, you see what I mean? Like, I think there's so many windows for this that like people just don't play into. Oh, lag. We should have done that first to get information. She lost to twinning. Okay. But like, that's a good line. Once an Audrey comes down, like, you can always react with that. And like, this deck doesn't have a lot of cards in hand. Oops, we win. Yeah, right? Like, we can even draw 2 cards here for style. But I don't think people play around public trail on the line. I'm glad that we showed that off. Yeah, that was a start. Yeah, nobody plays public trail on the line, and like, I think it's like when's the last time you played Hosh and had 5 cards in hand? Okay, so let's do it. Yeah, proof of concept complete. Imagine playing like 2 hours of op struggles. Oh man, I think that did me really poorly. That happened to me in SOS, but against a Thule. Yeah, you played against Barf Thule. I don't know if it's on public trail, is it? Turn 2? Yeah. Yeah. And like, do you feel good about those hits? I don't know. That's harder. Here we want an ice. We jam it tomorrow's headline behind the ice. You too. Like, go AFK for 5 minutes. We got turn 3 flatline. Yeah, end of the line, public trail. Like, we should play tune it. It's a cromulent win condition. You'd think watching you build it would be enough to play around it. Yeah, I did go down. I went up to 2 of each, which was a last minute zag. The kill pieces. But I don't know. You play around it. Like, what's the odds? Salty run back? No, it's not a salty run back. We just got to see Hosh. This hand's like okay. It's not great. This is much better. We can do the same start. In theory, you could public trail a draw. Yeah, it was like Mando plus Rashida, really. Yeah. It's 44 though. Okay, those are the worst 2 agendas in our hand. No way around that. A botch list through this is pretty gross. I'm gonna click her credit there. We could have drawn once. If Izzy wants to run HQ, I think that's a pretty good access. They steal freedom though, we can oppo. If we get our Rashida and the oppo though, it's pretty good because we actually can do something and then oppo. Okay, buy events for tempo. Anakim nice. Oof, FOI off the top 2. This is cool. This is not mulch now. This is just like good stuff Hosh with Ligo. All right, we're gonna take some tags. Cool. Jaguar on D. HQ. Rashida remote server. Free tags.deck. Gain 2. Go. Gotta clear the tags probably. With the Anacom. That's sick. The Anacom is really now a bit harder to kill. It's not that we do double end the line, so we just need to get the low cards in hand. So like things like the Jaguarundi, things like the snare are a bit less relevant. And probably playing more snares is likely better than Jaguarundi because Jaguarundi is just doing like a pretty weak imitation of Starlit Knight, or more likely Satyavna. We have a virus. The fermenter is going to carry them for a bit. I think it's tricky here because like one big run on R&D and you hit like the 3 copies of Behold, you're in a bad spot, let alone hitting threat 3 once you hit an Oracle. All right, let's try and get some core damage in there. That seems like a fun little line. Do we want to score this out? I'm not sure. Let's try to keep Hosh down. We could try fixing our hand. I don't think we need to. Ideally, like, we never score this out. Like, we could do advance sync next turn. I don't think they run though. They could run archives to get a flip, and sync like makes that really ugly. Like, I just don't think you run to sync. Sync is gross, yeah. So this is the problem, is we play sync next turn, they definitely don't do anything. So I think here we're just gonna put like Rashida on the table, credit, or we can do advance, and then we can do sync. The problem is like we don't fire the Rashida this turn. I think we just do advance. Because if they trash the Rashida here, like it's very likely that's a spin doctor that they don't want to contest. But we want to trash like Mystic, or heaven forbid they put down a... They have more money though. They have the Fermenter. Like they can probably take an Oppo on the chin. But we want to trash a Companion or a Daily Cast. Even a Lagu, I'll trash it, I guess. Oh, Paladin. That's coming down. It looks like a Bologna. Isn't a Bologna. Oh, twinning is probably more important. Purge here seems okay. Yeah, it's too late. Which do you trash here? I don't think we Rashida. Do you trash the twinning or do you trash the Paladin? I'm not actually sure. Which one do you think you trash? Probably the Paladin, right? Because this is money, and money matters. Scarred Think Tank, yeah. Which is the win con? The 20 is a win con. That's for sure. But having money is also the win con. Like, we're not that weak to multi-X's. Like, you might multi-X's this hand. It can be really gross really fast. I'm not sure the trash. Actually. That's a hard call. Let's try this. Yeah, that's a hard call. Here we can click for credit, but then we're not jamming. I think we want to get the blown on the... Sorry. We want to get the blown on the table. Getting the Oracle to archives eventually is pretty good. Yeah, I'm not sure what the right trash is there. It'd be easier to tell once you saw Izzy's hand. Trash both companions to discard think tank seems okay. Oh, fuck, we could trash more than one. Why did I think we only trash one? Oh, yeah, that was so much better. We should have trashed both. Oh, oh, I forgot we could trash both. We gotta hope that Izzy forgets that they can clear the tag. Yeah, we should definitely just trash both and throw out a think tank. That was really, really bad. You can't undo click draw card? What is this? Yeah, it's really bad. We should trash both for sure. I don't know why that didn't dawn on me. Now they clear the tag for sure. Yeah. Bummer. Rashida, let's go. Illegal activity? Yeah. What was that? You just took back a card draw? It's totally fine. Okay, cool. So here we want to do a double advance Bologna. We're going to discard a couple cards here. We can put them a virus on it, which looks like an amaze, and that puts us to game point, and then they have to play our game, which is a good game to play. I am so silly for not killing a companion. Thrower, how's it going? So we can throw out the Oracle. That puts on threat 3 if they run archives. They can't refuse to take it. So I think we just want to put it on game point. We're going to discard a bunch of cards here. We can play Sync, which is just ugly. They probably want to do a Hoshiko run because they haven't. And then we discard a couple cards here. We'll get rid of the Oracle. We could put a Spin Doctor on the table too. It's probably safer. You have to discard a lot of cards here. Get rid of a virus. I think we can get rid of the ping, probably. That's weird. That's not a great discard, but we have to kind of force the game. So now this is easy to forget because of Sync, like because it's here. It's like really easy not to notice this. Strike Fund, like they're just not going to run this turn. Lago. And we'll score out of Bologna. Discard a card. Do you want to discard 2 think tanks? We're on game point. We got to install advance this. We're threaded up on Oppo. She has a lot of money though. Get out of there. Steal Bologna, run archives, win. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, challenging the economy here would be good. Paladin was been fine. The thing is, we also put Bologna in the remote server. Sorry, Behold in the remote server. They have to consider running it. But like, we haven't seen a breaker. We haven't seen a Botulus. Like, these are pretty rough face checks. Double think tank archives might make playing for companions tricky. Yeah, that too. It absolutely blows out the companions in like a really weird way. We don't have any of our win condition in hand. Like our win condition is just scoring. But like, imagine we put a 3-2 in the remote server. Okay, a 4-2. Oh, okay. And then we played sync rerouting. Like it's a hard, you know, thing to deal with. As much as like that's the problem. So we probably should be playing one copy of Shipment for the Disperse so that we have a small tags win condition and a big tags win condition. But like they just have to find breakers here. And probably play an event. Oh, you can trash card random. FOI is a win condition, right? Oh, so true. So true. Yeah, you're right. This is how we went off tag. So I think we put Spin Doctor here. We draw, we jam something in remote server. Daily cast. You can rip a card from hand. It could hit an Onacom. Oh, sorry, in event it doesn't. Trash the Buzzsaw. Ooh. Okay. So, oh, that's cute. Lagu. Spin S1, spin new remote, probably forces run. I'm going to put the Behold in the remote server. We'll try that. The problem is like if she doesn't find a breaker, I don't know if she runs. It's click too. So now both of the companions are going to be hungry. I'm going to do it. If they don't clear the tags, we can shuffle these back. It's fun playing multiple of these. Because now they have to fork between the remote server or not. I'm gonna gain the money just to make it seem like we have what we need in the remote server. Because if we draw, it's probably not the win. Purge. So now there's 2 companions, 2 tags, and maybe the win in the remote server. 17 credits though, right? Like there's no public trail threat here. This is kind of cool. Feed me, Izzy. We need blood. I'm losing my mind. So let's see, 17 credits, 2 tags, 3 ice. Like we probably oversold this, right? With the VSA. So rationally hyped during R+ games is not a good look. It's kind of fun. No breakers to speak of. If you float a tag, if you don't clear the tags, we fast advance freedom. Like that's the cool fork here. So it's hard here. If you clear no tags, we could try and go for double end of line kill. It's not as likely as just score a freedom because there's a bunch of things. Baya solves this problem situation. Oh man, imagine you buy off of Mystic Miami, you install a card with Paladin and Puemo, you get the Mystic credits, it'd be so good. Oh my god, it'd be absurdly good. If there's a Baya right here, we've only seen one. Oh, it'd be disgusting. I would lose my mind if there's a Baya. And this is the idea that if you face check into these, like we're closer to end of line being mattering. Pueno could help with the installs. Don't even, Solomir. We didn't invite her to the party. And now you're gonna bring it up and we're gonna have to feel bad about it. Really? That's really what you're gonna do? The archive check is cool too, because it seems like we discarded agendas, but we probably didn't. We probably want to jam agendas. I think you just go there for the Hoshiko flip. That's a hard turn to solve. Again, like there has to be a seamless or something, and Izzy saw us doing the deck building, so there's no click impression. Don't buy a. Ooh, cool. Cool. So it looks like if we don't lose, we win. We need to hit a snare here. You can have it. 2 steals can hand, maybe, but we just score out the freedom information. Like, the problem is we might lose. Like, I think we probably lose here. Let's see if it ends the run. Unfortunately, it doesn't. We just needed a ping here. But, like, now the problem is game point. So if she finds just like a Bologna, that's it. Spin something back. Yeah, we will for sure. We don't have to do it now. Fire all. Let's go. Strike fund. Okay. Draw 2. Yeah. No! That's probably not right. Oh, they could have been a snare on top. We would have shuffled with Smith Doctor. It's all random at the end of the day. No. Want to run 2? They want to keep 5 cards in hand. Okay. It costs 6? Should do it. Wait, that's way too much money. 6? Oh, right. Because you got 2. I think it's. Yeah, the strike fund trigger is why there's more money in it. Because it's 2 from the strike fund, yeah, and then 3 to break this. So I think it's only 5. All right. And now we hope. Put the ping back in, put the Appa back in. Don't lose. Okay. We are good. We are okay. 4 cards in hand. Okay. We probably should have put it here so there's no Lago shenanigans, but there's not any Lago shenanigans. Oh, that was close. That was close. All the Bolognas were in the deck. Yeah. We could have shuffled these back in too, but yeah, we just went there. Do you not win from FOI or risk missing ELL? We don't want to go ELL there because we don't have money. We definitely could have risked it, right? Like we have to not hit a steel skin and then an event too. So there's a chance that even having 6 credits wasn't a winning one. Yeah. No breakers, eh? Yeah, no Banhar, no breakers. I think trashing the Paladin actually wasn't even that great for us. It didn't. It gave like 3 more credits before the game was over. I think maybe 4. Not a lot. Had the saw, but no cleaver. Yeah, it tracks. That tracks. I got a lot more sentries than most. Yeah, if we had a Starlit Knight there, it's not that much better. Like she has to break 2 and they're on subroutines. It's not a huge difference. Firing the snare would have been funny, and then if we fire the snare, we could definitely end a line. Having backups plus Steve, so it's only losing it and dealing with the VSA the hard way if I had to. Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, I wonder if authenticator is worth something based on how people expect and play around VSA. Yeah, authenticators really need, like, you always have the option of cheating around it, which is not great. It gives your opponents options. Also, if they take the tag, you get the basically 2 credits anyways, so you almost always take the tag on this. Yeah. And it's like 4 is really annoying. Like, you know, we just played Ngolo. Ngolo breaks us for like 4 credits. Like, that's gross. Shibboleth doesn't deal with this well on any strength. Unity is really annoying to this thing too. Like, I think this is actually worth playing around because people play around VSA, but like you don't need a breaker and you can still win a game into VSA. It's not that different from Authenticator, but it's a bit stronger on the remote server turn 1, I think. It's just we have VHA, which doesn't give them a choice not to take the tag. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, eventually it's a 1 credit break. It's weird. Next for the game, eh? Let's do one more. So far, we're doing exactly what we wanted to do on the tin. Go fast enough, have some weird threats, and push it from there. Let's do one more. It's 11:30. We got one more in us. We don't want to go too late. I think like last time Pat was here, we went really, really late, unfortunately. But I think we started a game at like 11:20, and it was the players' like first corp game. And it took us a long time to get to the end of that game. And we ended up at like 12:20. I'm not going to go that hard. These decks have to, this match has to be pretty fast. How many folks are like, we're doing a Thanksgiving tonight and now you're like done the thing. And now you're just like absolutely gorged on whatever classic American Thanksgiving buff there is to eat. Your marshmallow dipped sweet potato gelatin. What else is like comically American? Tuna salad. That's not that bad. You don't eat that. Food coma for sure. Hey, hopefully you had an okay one. That was a wild ride. Yeah, that was pretty wild. Yeah, I think like the jamming into archives, the 2 traps is like so specifically tricky to deal with. And like no one's gonna, like everyone's gonna interact with that poorly. Cranberry sauce and sweet potato pie. Yeah, cranberry sauce is like absolutely goated. Sweet potatoes though, they can kind of fuck off. Green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, drowning gravy stuffing. That's like the normal stuff. I want to hear that freaky shit that America made in the 50s that they're like trying to like get rid of, where like, you know, ambrosia salad. If you're not familiar with that, look it up. Or like, you know, why do you put marshmallows on yams? What are you doing? It's the only time I can eat canned cream and mushroom soup is the green beans on Thanksgiving. Oh, that sounds wholesome, Vincent. Oh, we have an authenticator in this list. I forgot we did that to ourselves. Andre with the anti-sweet potato hot takes. It's weird. Like, I'm a vegetarian, so it's really important to me that all the vegetables and starches are like pretty good. And sweet potatoes are just bad potatoes. Yeah, I don't know. My partner makes a good actually sweet potato soup. I like it a lot. Best of luck, have fun. So we have authenticator into Rashida. This is where like giving your opponent choices is bad. This, I don't like this hand. Early freedom sucks. It did get worse. It did honestly get worse. We usually make the stuffing out of White Castle burgers because yeah, that is a big because America. Oh, at least we have an Oppo. Okay, great. Yeah, that is a big because America. What about tempura sweet potato? I don't think I've had that. All right, this could go any direction. It's hard to tell. Wait, what? I wanted to install. Why was I clicking on credit? That was a misclick. I want to put things on the table. Was I really clicking on credit? We want to install advanced this behind ice. I'll put this on the table, see what happens. They're just better potatoes. Oh, why would you you can't improve on a potato. It's like kind of perfect. I don't know what you want. It blows my mind when someone hates sweet potatoes. Shut your mouth about sweet potatoes, but I agree with the marshmallow topping being bad. Yeah, marshmallows are not very good. Gotta caramelize the sweet potatoes with butter and brown sugar. Oh man, I don't know why I want my potatoes to be sweet. I'm not a big sweets guy for what it's worth. Hit a headline here. That's kind of cool. So unfortunately we can't do end of line because of obvious reasons. So them having 3 tags is like annoying. We can advance this once. How do we play out of this? We definitely oppo them. What do we do with the rest of clicks? I think we can draw once. Oh, that's not a great card to own. We can advance this once, and then we can oppo for free. I'm with you on sweet potatoes. They're trying to do too much exactly, right? Hey, well, imagine a starch, but like also the sugar shit. Like, no, I'm good. They're way better Mexican style food. Black bean and sweet potato equals elite combo. Sweet potato fries are great. Nah. Oh, buffer drive. That's a 3-credit brick at this point in the game. There's no way they wanted to install that. Is that what they're typing? Do you guys eat pumpkin pie up there? There's a weird Thanksgiving only type of food. No, they don't. And I've been on stream before saying this, is that it's actually one of my least favorite things about Quebec, which like, that's not saying that much. It means Quebec is probably pretty good. Is that pumpkin pie is like kind of an Anglo thing, right? Like in Ontario, we had it all the time. You get October pumpkin pie is a thing. You know, you get that really gross orange one, like not the gross color, it tastes great, but that really strange colored orange one. Yeah, we have that. But the problem is in Quebec, the thing that they have is like sugar pie, which I'm not actually sure I've had, but it looks like pumpkin pie, but it's also like it looks like pumpkin pie, but it's also like just absolute sickly sweet. And so you go to the grocery store around the season and you look for pumpkin pie and you just get sugar pie. Don't love it. The only place you can get sugar pie, or sorry, pumpkin pie is actually at, how do we play this hand? We should be playing Check His Silence. Is at like, there's this chain of pharmacies across Canada called Shoppers Drug Mart. In Quebec, they're translated to Pharmaprix. And like, I have to go get my pumpkin pie from the pharmacy because they do carry it because I think they're a bit more plugged into like the Anglo, what's it called, line. It's really good. It's pumpkin pie is really good. It's one of my favorite foods. I recently made for my sister's birthday a pumpkin pie cheesecake. Like a pumpkin cheesecake. I guess pie is, it's a cake. It turned out really, really good. We were very happy with the way it turned out. Don't hit the agenda. Good. Oh, this thing is trashable. I forget about that. This is a strange game. Yeah, this one's weird. This is a weird one. Shame about that think tank. Sweet potato, black bean, enchiladas are the best vegetarian food I know how to cook. That actually does sound good. All right. Don't have oppo. I think we just scored the bologna and we're chilling. We can throw out a sync rerouting, no problem. This looks like a failed checkist. Sweet potato pie looks like pumpkin pie too. Tastes like the most disappointing pumpkin pie. Yo, Jeff, I think we're on the same page. That sounds horrid. As much as people probably really like it. Cool, the price, buffer drive. That's the thing with the buffer drive, right? Like it's such a brick. Like right now it's about wrestling economy and paying 3 credits for an effect that probably won't matter until like 6 turns from now. That can't be it. Undo click? Wait, what? Oh, they goofed the order of the buffer drive. Yeah, that makes sense. You have to hit like the card that you're trashing first. So like you don't want to buffer drive the steel skin or the strike blunt before it fires because then it doesn't fire. Yeah, there you go. Harmony Therapy. That's another like card for a late game that might not exist. And it's on the bottom of the deck. So it's Banhar, Daily Cast, Strike Funds. I think a Daily Cast for 1 credit is pretty good. Why? When did we switch to Brav? I need them to run this. I think we should have kept this in Centros. I don't like Behold on the table. I don't like Snare on the table. It's really hard to make it matter because like if we don't have wage workers. They're running last click here. Snare wins us the game as much as it's 131. Accessing also when you don't have Bologna credits, like I'd argue they don't want to steal Bologna. Do we tempo him? Do we tempo? I'm not going to tempo them. I'm going to do the weird play. There's no way under devious traps. They're inevitable. Run for our freedom of information. They might run this, and generally if they do, we're on game point and it's terrifying. But this is how we play this, fast and loose. They probably don't host this turn too, which is kind of fun. Ah, shit. I think we need the card draw. We really need an oppo here for this to be relevant. I also want them to have money so they can dump their hand. Because they're going to be on 3 credits here. They called that so hard. They're like, forget it. I'm running. I don't know if they didn't see this too. I miss this all the time. But like, yeah. What else are we doing? We could have waited for a piece of ice. We have a lot of ice and they're not showing icebreakers. Just putting the virus behind the VSA, excuse me, might be interesting. Mimic. 1 credit. Cool. Our Jaguarundi is not going to do anything. That's like the best way to break Jaguarundi in the format. 1 credit. Let's go. All right, you want to risk the whole game? This is really scary when they're on game point. But we have a win here. We need them to float a tag, and then obviously, like, if they ever run this, I think we win. Mind you, for this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need a slight more credits. I guess we'll get some money off of this. We'll pay 1 game 2. They don't have money. Gachapon, that's cool. I don't think they know we're on public trail, right? They didn't see that, did they? I think we drew that. They're gacha. Wow, they have like real big late game Hoshiko deck. Like Turbine, Takobi. Cleaver's probably the one you want here, so you can consider like dealing with the ping. You definitely don't want either of those. Like Fenris is kind of interesting with an open HQ. But yeah, Cleaver's what you're gunning for. They did see the trail on top of R&D. I wonder if that changes how they play. Yeah, maybe it was their single axis. Maybe you're right. Yeah, unfortunately now them being on game point means that they can our risks are really high risk. Okay. We can draw ones here. Jaguar is not enough. I think we're just gonna get rid of this. Alright, we're on game point technically. We install advanced events, they have to interact. Unfortunately, Mavirus in their remote server is not particularly good. I think we can put Mavirus on top of server 3. I think that means we'll have a safe Mavirus for a minute. I don't want to get the Jaguarundi. They break it for 1 credit. We res it for a terrible 4. That being said, actually, we're on threat 4. Hold on. Wait, that's kind of sick. Yeah, too bad. I forgot this had text on it. Oh, this is what it takes to make them run this. Oh, this is sick. This is so good. This is how you make them run a Behold. You put them a virus on top of it. They shouldn't trash this because it turns on Oppo, right? As much as we're only on 2 Oppo. Yeah, I don't think you trashed that. So now they can clear 2 tags. Again, they need to go down to 3 cards in hand. It's all about that 6-6-6 snare strategy. All right. Top deck and Oppo. Come on. This is where it's really hard. What? Wait, what? Where did their hand go? Oh, they moshed. For a second, their hand disappeared. I'm like, wait, did they go down to 1 card in hand? I don't know if we play a sync here, do we? I don't think we. I think we install 2 cards on the table and play sync. I think that's the best way to get value out of sync. It's genuinely a cool card in R+. It feels pretty good. As much as like I think you are going to want to play this with wage workers or a way to make 4-2s a bit more scary. Our BSA is now cooked. They have all their breaker suite down. There's still a snare somewhere they must play around. And on 2 clicks left, it's actually really tricky to check. I was going to say it's really tricky to face check here. Because if they get through here, they don't have Bologna credits. I think we res the VSA, so they pay 1. But maybe we don't. The big problem here is they can't steal Bologna. And if they hit... Oh, we shouldn't have resed it because we can't fire Snare or Behold. That's how we win. Shit. If they hit a Snare or Behold here, I'm going to feel really silly. Especially the Snare, because the Snare is the win. Okay, I don't think they did. Yeah, we need to stay on 4 at like all costs. Looks like Rashida might live here. It's hard to check last click. There's a lot of things that float a single tag. Yeah, they don't have economy, so like just forcing them to pay 1 for an axis is like fine. But not at the cost of going underneath 4 credits. All right. Not a lot of cards in hand. This is probably going to attract some pressure on HQ. And by probably, I mean definitely. So like it's all advance is how we win. I don't want to do that. We just need to hold on for the last Oracle. This is a really hard place to get out of. Because our Maze Amusements are now useless. Do it? I don't think we do it. Like they 0. They're going to be on 1 with Hoshiko. They're not playing Overclock. Like, how do they deal with this? We see no dirty laundries. We need to see no raindrops. We see no, I can't do it. There's no reason we should do it when we can like do ping Rashida. If they smash HQ, I think we're fine. Let's sync rerouting to like make them sweat. I think it's very likely they'll have credits. Like they lose 1 to Hosh. Hedge fund protect HQ. No, we can't win by protecting HQ. We have to build a remote server. Like HQ is a 1 in 5. They don't have legwork. Like I think we need to force them to like overextend and like, oh, we need to run this remote server, so we have to get cards down. It looks like they're not even running it though. Yeah, that's a bummer. It might have worked. They just got to 5 credits. It just might have worked. Now we have to ice HQ. Wow, they're on multiple buffer drive. Okay. This is the thing that we have them to make them do a thing. But the problem is like we have to put a thing on the table and we have to advance it. Public trail, end of line doesn't work. Funny enough, with wage workers, you can do public trail, end of line. We can't, but a player could in a different deck. We just need them to bite. Oh, they were clicking to sure gamble. Okay. So now they have public trail money. Actually, it's worth keeping the second public trail. The second public trail is actually much better than the second end of line because we never do double end of line. Well, not never, but usually we don't. We might want to pop the spin doctor here. I don't think we need to. If they trash the spin doctor, I think we're okay with it. I'm pretty sure they can pinhole this Maze Amusements. Otherwise, this is a wild pinhole. Yeah, okay. Do they trash it? Do they? Do they fall into our 4-click oppo trap? They didn't. Good. That's a bummer. We definitely need to find the last Oracle think tank and just stitch it on top of there. What happened? Oh, they zeroed. Nice. VSA last click. Behold wins us the game. Snare wins us the game. That is worth shuffling back in with Spin Doctor. Well, it's kind of not, because we shuffle 1 Behold and 1 non-Behold. I think it's better that they just have a higher odds here, because it'll either be, if we yeah. Just hope it's one of those. Good game. Thanks for the game. They made a lot of risky runs there. Running last click into archives is like R&D is pretty high risk there. So we had 2 Beholds and a Snare. They were far down there. If they hit the Oracle think tank, I don't think they lose the game. If they hit the Snare or the Behold, they lose the game. So we were looking at 16 cards there. There's a chance that shuffling with the Spin Doctor is okay because we want to lower the chance of us losing. Well, there's only 3 agendas and 16 cards there. So I don't feel terrible about that. We could have made it 3 and 18. That's a bit better. I think this deck is like somewhat reasonable. I think the way that we're using influence though is like wrong. Like I think if we just drop the Jaguarundis, you could shuffle only the Behold. Yeah, I think shuffling only the Behold is like definitely the angle as opposed to shuffling 2. I think that's the problem is like shuffling the additional card is like so low cost, relatively not low cost. Like I think we shuffled the Behold and the Jaguarundi because this is where the Jaguarundi gets really obnoxious is when they're floating on threat 7. They hit Oracle, it's PT, end of line, right? They only have 8. Yeah, they have 8 exactly. So they have to pay all their money. So that's a bit tricky. If they only have a single tag, it's hard. We could like tempo into line. We probably just do public trail and then like try and jam the Bologna, but we also don't have click compression for that. Yeah. I think this deck is probably worth playing more of. Unfortunately, we can't do it tonight, but I think if we swap out maybe the Jaguarundis, the problem is like the text on this was relevant. We probably maybe should have got that on R&D. That does have some cool text once they're like, they were on 5 threat for a while. Yeah, but it's tricky. Just play, 3 Behold, 3 Oracle, and then, it's really important when they do run. And maybe you do play a false lead. I don't know. It's hard. I think it makes sense if you're running like 3 Amaze Amusements maybe. Anywho, that's it for the stream tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out. Sorry I got salty about playing against Op. I don't like that sort of shaper deck. Like talking about fundamentals, but I kind of want the corporation to react to us more than we want to sit back and react to them. It gets me. It hurts that I'm just like constantly chasing. I never feel like I'm in control because it does cost a lot to run the remote server. It really does. Anyway, hopefully you're doing well. We said this earlier. Italian Nationals starts really, really soon. They're going to be streaming it quite soon. I'm pretty sure they're streaming all of it. So their COS, their team tournament starts technically today. They're 6 hours ahead. So it actually might start in about like 6 hours, which is really soon. There is going to be a whole weekend of events. We'll be doing some casting on the Saturday morning, our time zone. That'll be Saturday evening, Italian time zone. And all that should be up on Team Camperini. No idea what their tech setup is, but we'll be there for a couple hours, which is going to be, I think, good fun. I think that's largely it. Catch you on the flip side. Yeah, we'll see you there in a bit. We have an event here in Montreal, mind you, on the 9th of December, I want to say, at L'Abyss. I'm pretty excited for it. It's going to be our last, I think, organized play event before the holidays, which is really great. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks for the stream, of course, Kokoro, Elwin as well, as he catch you on the flip side. And we'll be back in just a couple days. Thanks for watching.